Happy Monday, degenerates. Welcome on back to the Die Hard MMA podcast. I'm your host, as always, your boy here behind the desk, behind the camera. And I am super excited to be wearing the baby blues. That's right. We're coming off a win point 1 unit victory at UFC Atlanta last week. And I don't care what anybody says. Hey, win is a win. It doesn't matter if it's an inch or a mile. I will take it. Coming off of two absolutely god-awful, embarrassing losses in back-to-back weeks, a break-even night is more than I could have asked for, all right? My entire night, as always, I don't know how this happens with me, but every single fight card, my night always comes down to my last action of the evening. And of course, I decided to pull the trigger on the under. The fight doesn't go the distance in the main event. And just decision machine Usman makes his full glorious return to the octagon. My thought process was either Buckley's going to be young enough, fast enough, punches hard enough just to smoke him, right? Smoke the old man with no knees. Or Usman was going to be Usman. And sure enough, like, he got the takedowns. He was in mount for half the fight. And I'm like, if he gets in mount for half the fight, like, I've seen Buckley knocked out before. Like, I thought we would get a ground and pound stoppage. He's a black belt now. I thought we'd see an arm triangle. Like, nah, Usman was just more than happy to elbow him in the face and cut him a couple of times and not really do too much with the position. So unfortunately, that cost me. I could have actually had like a legitimate profitable night for the evening, but played some violence in the main event and paid for it. But c'est la vie. Doesn't matter. A win is all we needed to just pivot and get one foot in front of the other, go in the right direction, up from here. Hope everybody's doing well on a Monday. Smash that like button for me. Welcome in here. We've got Dream in the house, Groundskeeper. What's going on? We've got the Grateful Dude, Dix Insider, Propaholic in the house. We've got Air Dog Cole, my guy Louis Mack Jr., Ted. What's going on? Michael tuning in from Twitter and from Australia, no less. Ethan Hershey, my guy. How we doing? Cade Deep. What is up, Cade? Everybody in the house. We're all rolling in here and ready to go. So now, as you guys know, my claim to fame is that I bring you as much good information as humanly possible. I have the absolute best guest list roster in the game these days. All right. We're talking people who are on the UFC broadcast, ESPN personalities, like everything, your favorite cappers off of Twitter. So I've got a massive roster of people to bring to you. So we make sure you've got the info that you need. But what we always try to do is switch it up. We got to innovate. We got to get some fresh blood in here. We can't let this thing become an echo chamber. So we got to always make sure that we invite somebody new to change things up every now and again. And somebody who I'm very excited to talk fights with is none other than Dravi from Twitter. What's going on, my guy? How you doing today?
Hey, happy to be here, Clint. Thanks for having me. It's a good card, and I'm excited to be on your podcast for this one. A lot of bangers, and I think a lot of violence on this card. So it's going to be fun to talk about it.
Absolutely, man. I am excited. It's going to be a good card. I think, last week was one of those cards where I could have seen a lot of finishes and nobody really felt like fighting for some reason. I don't think that's going to be the same way this week. I really feel like this week there's a lot of violence opportunities.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Now, Dravi, you are new to the podcast. So for all the, regular listeners, people who are just now maybe seeing you for the very first time, people who aren't on Twitter, stuff like that, give us a little bit about yourself. Tell me, a little bit about you, and then how are you doing? How'd you do last week? How you've been doing for the year? What are things looking like on your end of stuff?
Yeah, sure, bro. So yeah, I've been posting my bet on Twitter for 3+ years now. And I've been tracking on Bet MMA tips. So on the year, I'm actually having my best year to date, right? I'm up 67 units with 20% ROI on the year right now. And so yeah, I post every week on Twitter. I post one free bet of the week, and then all my other bets are on the Odd Shoppers, where I post all my content and everything right there. But yeah, been doing this for a little bit more than 3 years right now. Everything's tracked, everything's legit. So it's not like, it's not fake lines, it's not fake records, it's all 100%. And I'm doing a podcast every week, also Beat the Line broadcast with me, Key3 Picks, and Pegasus, where we break down fights. But I'm on the big show now, so I'm excited to be here, Clint. Always good energy on your podcast. So yeah, I'm sure we're going to have fun talking about these fights.
Awesome, man. All right. So everybody make sure you're giving him a follow. That's the handle right there. Bottom left corner. I guess it's more in the middle for everybody. Bottom left on his side of the screen. Make sure you give him a follow, especially if you're over there on Twitter. Refuse to call it X. And let's get into this awesome card. First fight of the night, man. We are starting out with some greasy heavyweights. We've got Mohammed, the Motor Usman, taking on Hamdy Abdelwahab. Now, gather round, children, gather round for the legend of Hamdy Abdelwahab. You know, there are some people out there who just do not know what they're dealing with this man. I believe the first Egyptian fighter to ever be signed by the UFC. They got him early, man. They signed him at 3-0. He had a, wrestling background. One of these guys that the UFC was super high on, probably way too high on. And they really are trying to get him success. They really are trying to push him in the UFC. I mean, he kind of reminds me of like a male Puja Tomar. Like, it's just not all there, but it's enough, and they're going to match make him however they can to go ahead and get him wins. He's 32 years old. His first 2 pro fights as far as his career were actually bare knuckle MMA fights. He had a 4-1 amateur record, and his UFC run so far has just been the stuff of legends. He came in against Don'Tale Mayes, and myself and many others lost an absolute pile that night. Don'Tale Mayes was like a -155 favorite, and he got pushed all the way up to like -195 by the time the fight kicked off, I want to say. And that ended up being one of the greasiest split decisions you have ever seen to this day. I still believe Don'Tale Mayes won the fight, even though it was back and forth and Don'Tale did Don'Tale things. Hamdy was able to grease out a couple of positions when he just kind of hung on for dear life with his wrestling and sat on top of Don'Tale when Don'Tale made poor choices going to his back and stuff like that. Well, after it's all said and done, we all get robbed on the split decision. We all lose our money. He pops not once, not twice, 3 separate drug tests. Hamdy Abdelwahab comes back flagged for stuff. And so he gets a massive suspension. He is gone for 3 freaking years. He comes back, and what do? They robbed Jamal Pogues blind. It was the same exact story. 3 years later, it was a greasy fight. It was close. Pretty sure Pogues won the thing, but boy, did they make sure Hamdy got his hand raised. And I tried to warn people that night, man. I was like, you do not want to bet against Hamdy. If they can get him a win, they absolutely are going to give it to him. And here we are this week. They're giving him Mo Usman. Now, Mo obviously is the far worse of the 2 Usman brothers. He's a legacy MMA fighter, so he's only in here because everybody knows his brother's name. He's 36 years old. He was training out of Fortis MMA, I believe, last time I checked, but he's on a 2-fight skid, man. They let him fight a couple of guys who are, undersized, who are no good. Zach Pauga, he dropped down to 205. He's cut from the organization. Jake Collier, a 185er that for some reason was fighting at heavyweight these days. Like, those are the kind of guys that Mohammed Usman was able to beat. Loses to Mick Parkin, loses to Thomas Peterson. He's got okay power in his hands, but if he really goes for it, it destroys his gas tank. And he's not really a great wrestler. So, like, if he can bully you a little bit, he will. But if you're an actual wrestler or you actually have cardio, Mohammed Usman ain't going to have anything for you. So yeah, man, this sets up to be the 3rd swing at getting Hamdy across the finish line. Hamdy's currently sitting at -175, Mohammed Usman +145. And this is a fight where I would just on principle say it's dog or pass from a betting perspective. But when you can tell, when you know exactly what side the UFC wants to get a win, I ain't betting the dog here, man. It's Hamdy or pass. I don't want to chalk up at -175, but let's be real. I think he's probably winning on Saturday by hook or crook. What do you make of this one?
Yeah, it's an interesting fight to say the least. Like you said, I'm not high on MD either. He lost to Pogues. There's no doubt about that. I don't know how they give him that decision. I thought he won against Mayes, but like it was really close. He came strong early, and then in round 3 he was completely gassed. And what you see about that fight is like he come on out. He was swinging. He was trying to wrestle and all that, and he gas out. And then in the Pogues fight, he didn't really wrestle too much. He was more like looking at distance, doing a bunch of nothing. And I think that caused him some issues because he was just stuck, not using his power, not using his wrestling. And maybe it was because he was scared to gas, right? So maybe that's possible, but also maybe that's because he's not on the juice anymore. That's also a possibility, because I don't think this guy's really good. He's kind of all right in round one, explosive, but as the fight extends, he's just not a good fighter. His wrestling is okay, but his top game, top control is not really good. And Usman is not the best fighter either, don't get me wrong, but I mean, he has a better process. He has a good jab. That's something that I like to see at heavyweight. We don't see too often. So good jab, good cardio, and he can fight well for 15 minutes. He's gonna fight close, and every single of his fights are also very close, right? So they have like what 5 UFC fights, and all of them been really close fights. So I don't think this one's gonna be much different. And on the Usman side, he's now training at Killcliff, I think, since his last fight. And his brother just won. He has some momentum going in, and maybe his career's on the line. He's 0-2 in his last 2. So I do think he has something to prove going into this one. And MD, he could, like, you just can't get these split decision robbery all the time. And it can keep happening, right? So the way I look at it is I just think Usman is slightly a better striker, more technical, better process, better jab, better cardio. And, he also has 6 inches of reach over MD, which going to be good at distance because Hamdy doesn't move his head at all. So I think Usman's going to land the jab, and I think it's going to be a close 29-28 decision. But I do agree with you, and it's a dog or pass, but I lean 50-50. So at this price, I got to lean with the Usman side, honestly. I think he's slightly better, but they're not very good. It's I say it's a really close fight, and I said both guys are not really good. So that's the way I see it. But in these type of fights, sometimes when it's 50-50 and one of these guys a decent sized favorite, you gotta take the dog. So I'm gonna go with Usman.
Okay. All right, man. I agree with you. I get it. I like it. I definitely think that, again, it's just normal circumstances. You bet the dog here and hope for that greasy close split. I've got a feeling that greasy split goes one way and one way only. So good luck. Good luck to anybody trying to fade Hamdy, because it hasn't worked for any of us so far. Shout out Porco Rosso. What's going on? He says Hamdy's nuts. gotta respect it, Porco. Thank you very much for the donation, my friend. Love to see it. All right, guys, let's keep it moving. Next up, you have got Tagir Ulanbekov, and he's taking on Azat Maxim. I am so hyped. I am probably I'm unapologetically overly excited for this fight, man. This one actually is kind of getting me going here a little bit. Tagir Ulanbekov, 33 years old. He's 4-1 in his last 5 fights. You see names like Nate Manis, Cody Durden, Clay Carpenter. The guy that he lost to was Tim Elliott, which, there's no shame losing to the Scramble Master, right? So he's on a pretty good run at the moment. He's tall. He's long rather than most of the Russians that are kind of short, compact grapplers, Khabib style, that kind of thing. This guy is very capable of striking at range. He's definitely long. He knows how to use that jab, but he's a little slow on the reload. I think some of these smaller, quicker guys, we saw it in his Clayton Carpenter fight, actually. He was having a little trouble with the speed of somebody who's that quick. He has, like I mentioned, a good jab. And his main weapon is those front chokes. He's got that high elbow guillotine. He's got the regular guillotine. He's got the Ezekiel. He likes to attack all of these front chokes. So it makes it very, very difficult to grapple this guy. He's very dangerous off of his back as well. He knows what he's doing down there, and he can tie you into a pretzel. So it's really tough to have any type of relieving pressure type of game plan with this guy, because if you can't beat him up on the feet, he's generally the one who can level change, and you're putting yourself in a very dangerous position if you try that type of move. But when he ends up not getting that front choke, anytime he's not getting a finish, his fights end up being very, very close. Man, he lost the Elliott fight due to the scrambles, not being able to keep up with the speed of a shorter, quicker fighter. When he fought Bruno Silva, I felt that fight could have gone either way. It was really close, but he ends up getting his hand raised. That's just the kind of guy that we're dealing with here. And then you look at his recent competition, Durden, he's on what? Like a 3-fight skid right now. He's 4-1 in his last 5 fights. No disrespect, but, Nate Manis, guy's cut a little unjustly, but I mean, he's going life and death with a retired chinless fighter. So none of those are aging well, in my opinion. And he's a massive man for this weight class. Getting older, that weight cut is going to start being difficult for him to continue making. Azat Maxim, 15-1, 30 years old, a big time prospect out of Kazakhstan. This guy's training over at American Top Team, so he's at a good gym in a good place. He dropped his UFC debut, if you guys recall, to Charles Johnson, and I was huge on him that night, man. He comes out and he sparks Charles Johnson with a right hand immediately, just floors him. Didn't follow up with ground and pound, went for a choke, and we all know how good Charles Johnson's submission defense is. He survived the Dar somehow, and then I really feel like Azat kind of had an adrenaline dump trying to get that finish early on in the fight. So Charles kind of punched his way back into that fight. He ends up winning a very close, contentious decision. Well, now we've had some time off. Azat's been able to train with, really good bodies. He's got the UFC jitters, the big lights out from under, got that under his belt. He's really light on his feet. He's very bouncy. He's got really fast hands. This is a guy who will blast double leg and switch levels really, really quickly, and he's got fast transitions to the back. So if there's anyone who's going to be able to scramble on the mat with somebody like Tagir Ulanbekov, this is the kind of fighter I think that's going to be able to do it. This is a big line here, man. Tagir is a minus 380 favorite. Azat has finally hit plus 300. Money, it looks like, is coming in on Tagir Ulanbekov all week. And I'm going to let you have it in just a minute here, man. But we're going at it early this week. This is my Link Memorial dog of the week, ladies and gentlemen. I've been doing these little pick and poke type of underdogs, not getting crazy out here, trying to make sure we're linking up some winners, if you will. But we're going for it on this one. Azat Maxim is a guy that I've got circled, Dravi. I've been looking forward to this guy's career for a long time. I think he's really, really good. And I kind of feel like the Charles Johnson fight is casting a bit of a shadow over him. And I think he's better than we've seen. I think the guy that dropped Charles Johnson very quickly at the beginning of the round, that's more what we can expect to see in the future, less of the guy that kind of fell apart in round 3 in his UFC debut. So I think we're going to see an improved version of him here. I think his hand speed is going to be a problem for Tagir. I think he'll be able to grapple with him. And even though he's kind of coming in here on short notice, I kind of feel like he picked a guy he thinks he can beat. You know what I mean? Like, he accepted the fight, not because they weren't booking him or something like that, because he thinks he can take this guy out. So at plus 300, I got to go, man. I think he's going to show some people a couple of things, and Azat's going to have his coming out party on Saturday.
Damn, it's a big one, Clint. He's actually plus 335 on Bet Online right now, so the line keeps up. So a lot of money on the Tagir and the parlays and all that. It seems like it's still early in the week, but yeah, a lot of money because he was like, I think minus 275 2 days ago. I will say. So yeah,
I was ready to jump at plus 270. Like, the fact that it moved up to plus 285, I'm like, okay, we wait. Now I'm seeing plus 300. You're saying it's plus 330. Like, I'll sit on my hands here, man. Let's see how high this goes.
Yeah, I will say though, if you don't think Tagir submit him, I do think there's going to be value on the Maxim side, like you said, because if they go 15 minutes, it's going to be competitive, right? Tagir's like, he's not like outclassing these guys over 15, but when he can get these front chokes, bro, he's really nasty with them. And the thing about the Charles Johnson fight that I'm going to add, Charles Johnson had a front choke. He had the guillotine, and the guy was out basically. 2 more seconds in round 3, and he was going out cold. I don't know if you remember, but he was like against the fence. He was cranking the neck, and then Johnson just let the choke go, and he almost fall. And then he kind of woke up. That was kind of a crazy situation. Mm-hmm. But like, if Tagir get to that position, he's going to finish it. I can tell you that. So that's my worry. And also, if you look at Maxim, the way he grapple, he always put his head in these type of position, even on the regional. So I feel like Tagir's going to have his opportunity to get that submission. And on the back, you said Maxim is good in the scramble. Tagir is also really, really good in the scramble. And I do think he's going to be the one getting to the back, getting on top in this position. That's where I think he's going to be the better fighter. But on the feet, I think Tagir's striking is a bit underrated, honestly, with his volume and with his jab. But what I don't like is he doesn't like leg kicks, and he's also hittable, right? So Maxim, like you said, dangerous, especially. He's really dangerous, and Tagir can get cracked. So I could see a world where Maxim crack him early, maybe knock him down or something like he did against Johnson, and then that's 1-0 Maxim going into round 2, right? But I could also see Tagir getting that front choke early. So to me, I'm going to go with the Tagir side, but I'm going to have to agree with you that Maxim is probably the value side on the money line. But I do think Tagir is live for that submission, though.
All right. Well, I'm glad, you and I are kind of playing the fight out about the same way. I think violence is probably a good answer. We talked about it at the top of the card. I think there's a lot of fights on this one that could end very violently. And I think there's upside for both these guys to finish. So, yeah, man, I'm not disputing the fact that that front choke is always going to be there for Tagir. So I'll take the big dog shot here on the money line. But Tagir by sub is never a poor choice if you guys are looking for a proper an opportunity to attack it. All right, moving right along. We've got Russian Ronda. Irina Alekseeva returns, and she's taking on Claudia Segudia. I'm not sure how exactly you pronounce that one. I need to practice that one here again. We have got women's MMA on this one, man. Claudia is 6-2, 26 years old, 0-1 in the UFC. She's one of these strong Instagram fighters. Like, yeah, the UFC is very, very interested in making her look good if they can. She stands long and tall. She's got kind of a pawing lead hand. She has very quick hands, but she does carry them low. She's very hittable, and she does have a tendency to like stay in kind of close, stay in kind of tight with her opponents. She doesn't use that reach and that distance very well, but she does have good volume. I'm not so sure about her power, though. She does seem to be kind of your classic pillow fisty women's MMA type of fighter. She's also training at ATT. Lots of photo opportunities with like Yana Kunitskaya, Jacqueline Amarim. So at 26 years old, you got to expect that she's probably patching up some holes, getting a little bit better, things like that. Her 2 losses on her professional record are both by finish. Back in 2021, she got submitted, and her most recent loss was that TKO to Melissa Mullins. And I said in my notes, I typed that she kind of reminds me of Daira Zeleznikova, someone who we'll talk about a little bit later this evening. I kind of am getting shades very similar. If she can keep the fight pretty and technical, she's very good. But I don't think she's a fighter, man. I think she's an athlete. I think she's out here having fun, but I don't know that she's got that blood and guts. I don't know that she's got that hate in her soul that's really going to lead her to have a successful MMA career. We'll see if I'm right on that. But man, her fight that got her into the UFC was like a custom rules MMA match where like every time they clinched up or grappled, they immediately separated them. That I just think she's got a massive grappling disadvantage here. And she's fighting someone in Irina Alekseeva who maybe a little short on career experience, 34 years old, maybe a little old to be a considered a contender or a prospect. She's only 1-1 in the UFC, but she is big and she is mean, man. Like, she is really tough. She fires lots of kicks from range. She doesn't move her head. She's going to be there to be hit, but she's a take one to give one type of fighter. And every time she trades with people, their face is busted up and bloody. Like, she has power for women's MMA. She also is relentless with like her offensive grappling game. She's got judo throws that she mixes in to kind of send people flying. I really feel like this is going to be a fighter versus a non-fighter type of situation. I don't like to chalk up really for women's MMA if I can help it. I do like to take the women's armbar from guard and that fluky kind of shit that happens in WMMA from time to time. But I think Irina Alekseeva wrecks this girl, man. I really do. She's minus 270, which again, it sounds kind of gross, but I can see her judo tossing her, and Claudia just never gets up ever again. Plus 220 if you're interested in Claudia as the underdog. It is favorite or pass for me. And I might even be taking some Arena inside the distance or throwing her in a parlay this week, man. What do you make of this fight?
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. This Segula girl, her ground game is really bad. I mean,
awful.
It's really bad. I wrote in my note terrible ground game, but I think I'm gonna add. You mentioned the American top team. That's new for her because she was not training there in the past. What I've noticed is her last fight was in November 2024, and she's with American top team since February. So we can expect some improvements. She's training with good girls, like you said. She's even training with. She has some pictures with Dakota Dichiva. You know how good that girl is, right? But all I'm gonna say is, training at ATT for a couple months, it can help you. But I'm not sure that I'm not ready to say she's gonna look good on the ground. I need to see it in my own eyes. But just a little something I'm gonna add because Alekseeva is a tricky kind of grappler. She got that knee bar and she got that judo throw, like you said, but she's not like that good on the ground either. But I do think she has an advantage there. And on the feet, she does swing, like you said. No striking defense. She get punched in the face a lot. She doesn't care. She's almost 35 now. She's 8 years older, which I don't like. And she's not good either. She just spams shit on the feet, but she make it work. She cause chaos, and she has a sambo background I've seen and an opportunistic submission game. But yeah, she could definitely submit her. But when you look into the way she fights, she's like chaos. She walk into the fire. She's kind of kill or be kill. But like you said, she's also pretty durable. So yeah, I'm not sure what to make about that one. But when I look into it, they both fought Mullins, right? And Alexeva was able to make it to the decision. And I also noticed that she was a favorite going into the fight against Mullins. And this girl Segula was a pretty big underdog, and she just got smoked on the ground. So I'm not saying that MMA doesn't always work, but when they have a similar opponent and they both grapple against them, it can make you a little idea of their levels. And I don't think that girl is good. So I think the ITD could be good, but man, they're really onto it. Oh, the dog's barking, Clint. Is that a sign?
He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's too young. You can't pay attention to him.
Perfect. Because the ITD is plus 185. I don't like that, honestly. Normally, we get like these plus 300 lines. I just feel like the market is onto this girl not having any ground game. And even Alexeva's submission is 250. Like, I don't like that. But I do think she's live for a sub.
Yeah, I think the sub is kind of what I would go with. I wouldn't rule out just like a ground and pound TKO type of thing either, though, because I really think the physicality is going to be the difference in this fight, man. I think she's just going to be too much woman for her to handle, but we'll see. Training at ATT, like you mentioned, it's just such a short amount of time, man. That's not enough time to fix up the holes in your grappling game. If you get caught in, you're mentioning the knee bar and stuff like that, 4 months is not enough time. You'll still let that kind of a position go, unfortunately. All right. We are a couple of fights in, everybody. Please do me a favor. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Like I mentioned, we are talking UFC Baku, and I'm joined by Dravi for this one. So give the man a follow, and let's get into it. We've got more, and I just mentioned Daira Zeleznikova. She takes on Melissa Mullins. Couple of interesting mix and match type of fights going on here. We were talking about both these women just a couple of minutes ago, man. Daira Zeleznikova, I don't want to talk about it. Like, she's coming off that loss to Aileen Perez, and man, I let my balls hang on the table for that one, and I could not have been more wrong. At 29 years old, I mean, I watched some of her more recent fights, and she got taken down, but she showed good awareness and ability to get back up. She showed an urgency to get to the cage, and so I'm seeing all the right steps. And I took that leap of faith that she's getting better. She's young. She's training for a grappler, and the improvements will be enough to make the difference. She looked good for the first 3 minutes. And then as soon as you get her on the ground, like you can see her heart fail in the cage when she gets put down on the ground. And after a couple of attempts to get up, she just don't got it anymore, man. Her Iron Lady nickname, they got to take that away from her. She's more like the tinfoil lady. Like she's not allowed to be called that if that's how she's going to be fighting, man. She won her UFC debut. I love how aggressive she is. She does strike with some hate in her heart. She is very long. She's got a good push kick. She mixes up the ranges pretty well, and she's got some decent power as well. I think she's going to hurt some women at like the mid to lower level. But man, I can't give up on her just yet because I have not been anything but wrong on Aileen Perez. I thought she was a flash in the pan. I thought she was a meme or a joke, but she has really shown that she's able to fight and compete at this level, and she's big and she's physical and she's tough and she's making it work. So just because Daira lost to her, I'm not going to write her off and say she can't get better. She can't improve. She's just a dead woman walking. However, I will say, her grappling and her tendency to fade is massively concerning. Melissa Mullins, 7-1, 2-1 UFC run. She missed weight in her last 2 fights in a row, so something to watch for on the scales if they punish her and make her like get all the way down and make weight, or if they let her slide by and she ends up being one of these fighters that gets forced to move up a weight class or something because they can't do it. It'll be interesting to see. She's a IBJJF nogi world champion, And she is always in these close, grimy fights if she can't like dominate the grappling. But more often than not, let's be real, she's dominating the grappling in most of these fights. She has a nice, clean jab, a quick 1-2 right down the pipe, but she is hunting that clinch, man. She wants to tie you up. She wants to bully you up to the fence, wear you out, drag you to the floor. I mean, one of the fights that I was watching her in one of her regional shows, she like pins this girl down and like pins one arm down and then just starts swinging and just punching. She fought Nora Cornell, and frankly, she was cruising against Nora Cornell. She was dominating every aspect of that fight. And then she slowed down just a little bit. We know Nora Cornell is like pure muscle. She's all toughness, and that's what she does, is she just explodes. She wore out just a little bit, took one bad body shot, and that was it. The fight was over. So like she was literally winning up until the point that she wasn't against Nora Cornell. So I'm not going to hold that one too much against her. Man, this is a rematch. That is something worth noting. Mullins was the first person to actually take out Daira Zalesnikova. She was her first loss in her MMA career. She was TKO'd in the second round, I believe. Daira was...
It was the end of the first round.
Oh, it was the end of the first round? Okay. She was getting lit up, though, man. That's the thing. Like, what's crazy about this is, you're like, okay, big hole in your game. Mullins fills that hole. She can take you down. She can out-wrestle you. She can beat you up. We've seen that's a problem. But you watch that first fight back. Daira was cracking her early in that fight. So this is where this is a struggle for me, because I hate this number. Minus 280 on Melissa Mullins, plus 225 on Daira Zalesnikova. And I feel like this fight goes just one of two ways. Like, we saw Daira dominating on the feet, and then we saw Mullins dominating on the mat. Now, since that fight happened, what have we learned? Nothing. Daira got taken down and dominated on the mat. Melissa Mullins got forced to stand and got TKO'd. Like, in my opinion, nothing has changed. So I don't like a minus 280 because, yeah, like, usually the person who won the first fight is probably going to win the second fight. Yeah, Daira still doesn't have a super competitive grappling game from what we have seen, but we also saw her have a massive advantage on the feet. And when she had moments, she was doing damage and hurting Mullins in a very short period of time. So I think this could be a violent women's MMA fight. I could absolutely see Daira winning this thing by knockout early, or if that grappling game is finally improved on, maybe she could get her out of there in the second or the third rounds. I will go ahead and pick Melissa Mullins, but I'm not happy about it, man. I would make her like a minus 160. Like, I just don't like the number here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You mentioned it. I mean, her ground game is awful. I don't think her takedown defense is that bad. She defended, I think, 2 takedowns against Eileen Perez. It looked all right. And I don't think Mullins' wrestling is that good, but she gets takedowns from the clinch, and she has a good way of getting takedowns, and I'm pretty sure she's gonna be able to do it here. And when she gets on top, the thing is, like, she do grappling competition and all that. She's a good grappler, but she has no submission win. She doesn't really go for submission. That's the ground and pound. That's what she likes to do on top.
Mm-hmm.
And the last fight, like you mentioned, I mean, she was getting lit up on the feet. It was not close, and then she got one takedown with like a minute left, and she pounded that girl out, and she got a TKO. Honestly, it was an early stoppage. Maybe that's why they're running it back. But still, I mean, Daria was not really complaining about it. She was like, all right, I might be done. Like you said, when she gets to the ground against Eileen Perez don't really know what a submission is. You know what I mean? She's not really a submission girl. She's more of a wrestler, and she got that choke pretty easily, and she didn't really know what to do when it got there. Granted, it was in September 2024, so like you said, maybe we see improvements, but not to trash my French people, but she's training at MMA Factory, and we know these guys and these girls at this gym, the ground game, the grappling is not the best place to train that, to improve that aspect. It takes way more time. Like Cyril, for example, it took him years to get that fixed, and not even fixed, maybe. We don't really know, right? But what I'm trying to say, he's at the highest level. So this girl at MMA Factory, I'm not sure how improved she's going to be. And Mullins, I've seen that girl grapple on the competition, and I just don't like that she's old, man. She's almost 34, and she's missed weight 2 times, like you said. But yeah, it's a striker versus grappler matchup, but I don't even think Daria is that good of a striker. And what I've noticed is when she get hit, her face go red way too easily. She get caught, she get messy, and even against Rendon, I bet her against Rendon, Clinton. I was not happy with that. She got clinched up, she got taken down a little bit, And that fight was close at the end. She was like going backward and getting pressure. She didn't like that. So the way I see it is I think Mullins at some point, she's going to get on top and probably early and get either that submission or that ground and pound TKO. But yeah, like you said, Daria is live for a knockout. That's why I don't mind the under. But again, man, they're really onto it. It's -125 for the under 2.5, which annoy me. But yeah, I do think Mullins going to get it done inside the distance.
Okay. All right, man. I'm there with you. I think it's Mullins. I think it's Mullins inside the distance as well. We'll look at those numbers when they come out, see if we can spy a prop that we like or something like that. It's funny because I know the other fight is a little bit more volatile, but I'm far more inclined to bet on Irina Alexieva at this price tag than I am with Melissa, just because of Melissa's age, because of the weight issues, because of seeing her struggle on the feet. Like, even though the price tags are similar, like I prefer Irina Alexieva over Melissa Mullins, even though I'm picking them both to go ahead and get the win. But we'll see. We'll see how Saturday goes. I want to watch Friday, though. That's the big thing for me. I need to see Melissa Mullins on the scales, man, because she could absolutely just like torch herself trying to make weight because she's missed twice back to back. I want to see if she can do it and make it healthy, or if maybe she has some kind of a really bad weight cut that causes her issues in the fight, something like that. The tinfoil hat is not out yet, but like, I'm ready. It's right here. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Dixon nailed it on the head. I am actually sponsored by Russia and Vladimir Putin, and that's actually the reason I'm able to keep gambling so lucratively the way that I am. And I am just here to bring you propaganda on Daira Zeleznikova. So this podcast today is brought to you by the state of Russia. All right, guys, next fight up, we've got Ismail Naurdiev, and he takes on Yong Park, everybody's favorite turtle. Actually, mine's Michelangelo. No, Ismail Naurdiev, man, is a guy that I had a real tough time with, okay? He's 28 years old, and he made a UFC run. Didn't go super great. He gets cut. He goes out onto the regionals, and when they re-signed him to fight Bruno, I actually bet Bruno that night, and it's going to go down in history as one of the worst bets I've ever made. But what we've learned since then is Bruno packed his bags a long time ago. Like, this man was just showing up. He was a husk of himself. He was collecting some paychecks, right? Like, it's like one of your boys when you know he's ready to dump his girl, but he just doesn't have the balls to quite do it yet. And she's like harassing and yelling at him, and he just sits there and takes it. Like, it's over. It's done. He's just got to sack up enough to actually say, you know what, I'm through with this. And Bruno was at that point. So watching that fight, I just really couldn't wrap my brain around it because Ismail Naurdiev was able to do whatever he wanted. He's a little small for 185 pounds, so like it works well for his speed and his cardio, but in my opinion, he's a little bit undersized. He's got fights on the regional scene at like 175-pound catch weights. He's fought as low as 170 before, so he's just not that big of a guy. I'm not personally projecting success for him in the future at 185 pounds in the UFC, but he mixed up the game well. He had good intelligent striking, his timing on his takedowns, his clinch game, pushing up against the fence, like all of that looked good. But I have to put the asterisk next to it of that was a shot Bruno Silva that he was doing that to. Yong Park, 34 years old. This guy's been a little bit up and down lately. His last two fights, both coming by way of split decision, very close competitive fights. Man, I told the story. I actually bet on Andre Muniz the night that they fought. And I was in the theater. I was watching the new Godzilla movie. I was watching Godzilla -1. And I had my phone with the dimness like turned all the way down. So I barely watched that fight the night of. And I knew I was in trouble. Like, just not even getting the whole fight, not being locked in, I knew I had lost that fight. And somehow Andre Muniz got his hand raised, and I almost ruined the theater experience for everybody because I was surprised that I got my win there in that spot. He gets a big win over Brad Tavares, another split decision, another competitive fight, and that shouldn't have surprised anybody. Brad is a very good boxer. Brad is very tough to wrestle and take down. We know this. So it was going to be a tight 15-minute boxing match, and that makes sense. But before that, this guy was getting his wrestling going. This guy was getting his chop and leg kicks going. He was getting the level changes going. He tapped out 3 guys in a row, rear naked chokes. Now, it's not the biggest, not the greatest level of competition, but Yong Park will smoke you if you don't belong in the cage with him. And then you go back to like the Gregory Rodriguez fight, the RoboCop fight. He was very competitive in that fight. He had Gregory Rodriguez on skates at one point, man. He had him pinned up against the fence and looked like he was going to knock him out right before he got hit with that big haymaker that totally turned the fight on its heels. So I still think Jong Young Park, for as much as we all know and love the guy, he's still ever so slightly underrated, I feel like. Minus 180. Ismail Naurdiev is plus 150. And I'm just not sold on Ismail Naurdiev, man. I know he's younger, and you might be able to make the argument that he's got the more well-rounded game, but I'm not so sure that pushing up against the fence thing is going to work against Jung Young Park. And the way Jung Young Park refuses to take a backward step, the way this guy stays in your face, I kind of feel like that pressure is going to get to a kid like Ismail Naurdiev in this spot. So it's Park for me, man. Minus 180. I don't mind it one bit.
A really good breakdown on that one. I agree with everything you said. The pace, the cardio. I mean, Park has a lot of tools, and you mentioned it. I mean, you look into his losses in the UFC: Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, Gregory Robocop Rodriguez, and Andre Muniz. Right, one of them is a split decision, and the other fight against Robocop is a fight he was on his way to win. He was almost knocking him out, and then he got caught. And I mean, all these three guys would smoke Naurdiev, you know. So I don't put that too much. I don't hold that too much against him. And you mentioned the size. Park is never like the biggest 185er, but this guy Naurdiev used to fight at welterweight almost all of his career. Now he moved up to 185. I don't really like that for him, honestly. I think he should be at 170. And like you said, I think people are going to put stock into his last performance, but how much stock can I put into him beating Bruno Silva, who didn't want to be in there? You know, there his coaches and his corner and him after the fight said that, you know, he was not there. He didn't really like to fight and all that, you know, all that bullshit. So I just think that performance doesn't tell me much. And Bruno Silva had some moments in that fight, honestly. But yeah, Naurdiev did his thing. Respect to him. But then you look into after he got cut from the UFC, win, losses, not even against the best competition. So I'm not sold on that guy whatsoever, man. He's young. He could improve, like you said. But Park, I know exactly what I'm getting. And the guy is 8-3 in the UFC, you know, fighting killers. And Brad Tavares might not be in his prime, but that was a tough matchup for him. And he was still able to get takedowns in round 3, which is a really hard thing to do against Brad. As we know, he has elite takedown defense. And he got dropped early in that fight, which is not the best look because Brad doesn't knock down many people. But still, after adversity, he came back and cooked in round 2, 3, getting takedowns, getting to the back in round 3. So yeah, Park, he has a lot of good tools. Like the boxing is really good, the jab is solid, the cardio is very, very good, the pace, the durability, the grappling. There's a lot of things to like. I just think he's the better fighter here. He has the better cardio, and I'm just not sold on this guy Naurdiev. And seems to be a popular dog this week. The line is dropping on Park, so I'm waiting. I'm watching that line, but I do think he's the side, and the line should be probably a bit wider on that one.
Okay. I'm glad we see that one kind of eye to eye, man. I'll be honest with you. I was a little worried that you were going to come in here and just be like, Clint, the fuck are you on about? This Naurdiev kid is, you know what I
mean? Honestly, pre-tape, I was like, yeah, I might take the dog shot. What I remember, this kid's kind of good, and Park's probably going to fight close, but yeah, it could be a close fight, but I just think Park has upside to finish and separate more than Naurdiev does, you know?
Completely agree. And it definitely could be a close fight, especially if Naurdiev is taking the fight seriously, if he is, you know, rejuvenated and like doubled down on his career and, you know, really making a run at this, that kind of thing. But man, like you said, there were moments in that Bruno Silva fight where it looked like the tides could turn, you know, and then Bruno would just stop. It's like he would just let his foot off the gas, and Park doesn't do that. So I'm with you. Let's see if this price will drop a little bit more for us, and then it's probably going to be a play on Park this week. Next fight up, we've got Seokhyeon Ko taking on Oban Elliott. 11-2 takes on 12-2. This is a really fun fight, in my opinion, man. Ko is 31 years old. This is his UFC debut off Dana White's Contender Series, and you guys know I want to fade these kids. He was a plus 350 underdog in the main event of Dana White's Contender Series. Now, Dravi, I've got a couple of different things that I like to throw out there about the Dana White's Contender Series fighters. I feel like main eventers in Dana White's Contender Series are the more hyped up prospects, right? Like the guys the UFC probably thinks might actually be something. They put them at the top for a reason. So the kid that he beat was somebody they were really into. That was that big old Afro guy, if you guys remember. Like he looked like Alex Caceres throwback, right? And Ko really just outlasted him. it was a situation where the guy he was fighting had never gotten past the 3-minute mark of a fight ever. And Ko was just refusing to go away. So he got tired. He slowed down. He got desperate. They started grappling. I mean, it was one of those things where you could see this undefeated kid that had never faced any adversity whatsoever. Like he just had never dealt with that before. And Ko was able to tough it out and keep going and mix in the takedowns. And so he did a very, very good job. But what I saw was a very meat and potatoes style of fighting. Wide base, pretty light on his feet for a big guy with thick legs like that. Bouncing karate style for his striking. He does a really good job of pulling back and then countering once you step into range. He is very explosive, but he relies on his head movement. Man, he seems pretty tough. He seems pretty gritty. I will give it to him, but I'm not sure I see some crazy ceiling for this kid. Now, Oban Elliott, 12-2, 27 years old. He is 3-0 in the UFC so far off Dana White's Contender Series. He hasn't fought since he beat up Basel Hafez. He actually was supposed to fight Ramiz Brahimaj just a couple of weeks ago, and he had to pull because he had visa issues, so he wasn't able to make that one work. He stands really tall. He's very poking and prodding at range, lots of front kicks and things like that. Against Basel Hafez, he was very, very measured. Usually, I want to say he's a little more aggressive than that. He's very quick on his feet, good outside movement, good footwork. He skates kind of side to side and gets you moving around in there. Fast hands, nice jab, attacks the body. And then when he gets you thinking about the striking, that's when he goes ahead and level changes. I mean, this kid likes to grapple. He shoots 2.16 takedowns per 15 minutes. And so far, he's hitting at a 50% accuracy. So I know he's not fighting the best of the best in there right now, right? But 50% accuracy on your takedowns at any point in time is an excellent number. He's got 72% takedown defense, and his hips are made out of steel, man. Like this guy knows how to sprawl. He is explosive, and he turns those sprawls into scrambles. He looks to take people's back. He looks to attack submissions. He's always looking for front chokes. He knows how to make you carry his weight. He's going to be 2 inches taller in this spot. He will have a 1-inch reach advantage. And man, I'm pretty high on the Welsh gangster, if I'm being honest. I like Oban Elliott. I think he's a good prospect. I think he's got a good, well-rounded game. And I know he's been clipped and knocked out twice before in his Cage Warriors days, but I think he's come a long way from those days. And I think he could be a half decent Cage Warriors prospect in the UFC. I'm not sure Ko is ready to grapple the way this guy moves. So I like the favorite here in this spot. Oban Elliott is a minus 500 favorite at this point. That is a big number. But like I said, I think he's going to teach Ko how to wrestle on Saturday. What do you make of this one?
Yeah, I also think that Elliott's going to win, but I think this line is way too wide. Honestly, he's like minus 510, minus 520 some spots right now. I just don't get how you get to that price. Honestly, when you look into both these guys skill wise, they're not far apart. I just think after that big KO, there's just a lot of hype on the Elliott side right now. But honestly, you look into what he struggled with normally, and it's with against guy that can hit hard, that can make him pay. You know, like you said, on the regional, you got KO 2 times. I think one of them was ground and pound. So you know, it happened twice. And on the Dana White Contender Series against that Brito kid, remember he got cracked bad. He almost got knocked out, and then he came back. And then this other fight against Val Wilburn, remember he got like dropped in the first round, almost like finished, and then he came back and he used the grappling. What I want to point to your attention, Clint, is his last 2 fights against Parson and Hafez, right? Parson and Hafez, they have 20 pro fights in MMA. How many knockouts do you think they have combined together?
Ooh, that's a good question. So Parsons, I know, is on the low side. He's more of a grappler. So I know he's only got like 1 or 2, I want to say. And I think Hafez, it's kind of the same thing. He's big in clubbing, but he's a jiu-jitsu guy. So I'm going to say 5 between the two of them. 5 knockouts.
The answer is 1.
So,
you know, across 20 pro fights in MMA, they have 1 knockout combined. The reason I bring that up is because, again, these matchups were a good matchup for Elliott, in my opinion. He was able to decide where the fight take place. He was the more technical striker, and he had not, you know, a KO threat to worry about. Here in this fight, not to say, you know, Ko is the most powerful guy, all that, but he's a classic Korean type striker. Like, he's a southpaw. He moves in and out pretty well. And on the feet, like, it's a close fight, honestly. Like, I don't really see what people are seeing. Elliott's striking is all right. Maybe he's a little bit better defensively, but he could get cracked here. I mean, Ko can he can crack, and like you said, his takedown defense with what I've seen seems pretty good, and Elliott is better on the mat. But I'm pretty sure I saw that. Let me just see my notes. But I'm pretty sure this guy has like a Sambo background or something, Co.
I believe so.
Yeah, I wrote it. Yeah, he was a Sambo Road champ. That's what I've wrote on his Instagram. And he looks to be very strong in the clinch with what I've seen, honestly. So I don't think he's going to be like easy to take down and hold down. And then if he's not getting like grappled by Elliott, the way I look at it is I don't think Elliott is a big KO guy either, bro. I know that KO was honest, it was very good. And people are like, oh yeah, so Afa is gonna get finished by GDM and now Elliott finished him. So yeah, that guy has big power. He's like a good striker. He's a technical striker, but let's not act like he has massive power. Hafez just has no striking defense and he got caught. That happened. But I don't know if you recall, but the scorecards were all over the place for that fight. One of the judges had 2-0 Hafez, and the two other judges had 1-1 apiece, right? So like I thought Elliott was winning that fight pretty handily, maybe 1-1, but like the judges didn't see that way. So what I'm trying to say is, if the fight go the distance, it's gonna be close, and it's like -150 on the over 2.5. So yeah, I think Ko is live to catch him, and I think he's live to compete on minutes. So I think he's a live underdog this week, but I still think Elliott should be a favorite. He's more proven. But again, you look into his fights in the UFC and the guys he's beaten, better competition than Ko, like you mentioned, but not the best competition either, right? So if you look, the guys he's beaten, they have a combined record of 3 wins and 8 losses in the promotion. So is
That's
that
true.
really the best competition? And some of these fights were pretty close, like I said. So yeah, to me, Ko, like the guy he beat on Dana White Contender Series, he's not the best, but he's really dangerous in round 1. And that guy got 2 wins after that fight, by the way. So maybe he's going to be back one day. And he was big, strong, and powerful, but like he had no gas, basically. But on the regional, he beat some old guy, Ko did, but like he showed me some cool stuff. He's a cool striker, so I think he can compete here. But like I think Elliott's going to win, probably a decision. I just think the KO that he got last time out has been overblown in the line and making him a big favorite. But I think if you put some context into his wins and the reasons he's looked good against them, you can make a good case for the Ko side.
Man, you're speaking a ton of sense to me. And frankly, one thing I've been trying to remind myself to do recently is kind of fade these Cage Warriors guys. I don't feel like the current crop of Cage Warriors fighters is up to par with what we've seen in the past. When we got guys like Conor McGregor, Paddy the Baddy, everyone just assumed these Cage Warriors products are going to come out and they're going to compete and they're going to challenge for titles and contenders. And it just kind of hasn't been that way. Some of these guys are getting absolutely lit up. So Oban Elliott's a guy that I feel like I've been pretty high on, but you make a lot of very, very valid points. And even though Ko hasn't fought anybody at that level, his opponent from Dana White's Contender Series going out there and immediately getting back on track when he was such a big favorite, when the UFC was expecting so much from him. And like you said, Ko holding tough in that fight, mixing in the grappling, winning some of those scrambles, and then being able to take the shots. You got something there, man. You really do. So I'm going to pump the brakes here a little bit. You made way too much sense for me. I'm not going to ship it on Oban Elliott this week the way I was kind of thinking I might earlier. All right. That's why we always have the somebody filling in the guest chair here on this show, you guys. We got about 500 of you live, and it's time for me to shout out real quick, you guys, Spectation Sports. If you haven't taken a look at Spectation, please check out the link in the description below. Use promo code DIEHARD, 20% off your subscription when you sign up. They have fighters going to Dana White's Contender Series left and right, you guys. So a lot of these promotions that are signed up with Spectation, you're going to need access to their fight libraries if you want to do your tape study, if you want to prep. I know a lot of people really have enjoyed betting on Dana White's Contender Series, so you're going to need this tool. And if you're an MMA fan, you're not as much of a gambler, and you just want more action, then you absolutely need to be signed up, because there's a bunch of promotions that are getting in here with Spectation Sports. And in fact, we got a couple of them coming up this week that are really going to be good. Synergy FC 21 is coming up with a bare knuckle co-main event, so that one's going to be a good time. And then the big one really is Baroka 3. It's only their 3rd event ever, and they have got Juan Archuleta challenging for the title in this organization here at 145 pounds. So big name coming in here. Going to be an exciting fight matchup. Double header on Saturday, and a bunch of kids that are just turning pro. 1-0s, 0-0s. There's some very, very exciting up-and-coming prospects here on these cards. You guys are going to want to check them out, and they're going to be fun fights. So like I said, link in the description below, promo code DIEHARD. Make sure you get signed up, 20% off that sub. Let's get back into these fights here. And let's go, because we got the main card to talk about, man. And this is where stuff gets good. We have got Mohammed Naimov taking on Bogdan Grad. And this fight absolutely should be a banger. I mean, when is Mohammed Naimov not in a banger, to be fair? And you could say the same for Bogdan Grad. These two guys are both going to go in there and bite down on the mouthpiece and just look to trade it out. Bogdan Grad is 29 years old, and I teased a minute ago. I've got some theories about these guys coming off Dana White's Contender Series. Well, my new theory, not just the Dana White's Contender Series fade, because that was the first one. It worked out for a little bit. Then they adjusted. You got to always shift with the market. They started matchmaking a little bit better. These Dana White's Contender Series kids started winning more often, and it wasn't as profitable. But the new one that I've uncovered is the 2 times Dana White's Contender Series. Now, the rule is if you've been on Dana White's Contender Series not 1 time, but twice, and not somebody who's a high profile, right? Like, we're not talking about Bo Nickel, who they want to give some experience, someone who they want to let shine. We're talking a Bogdan Grad, somebody who gets on the UFC and either loses on Dana White's Contender Series or just isn't as impressive as they should be for Dana's liking. Those are the guys that struggle at the next level, at least so far from what I've seen. I need the data. I keep saying this is a theory, but I need to actually get out there and collect the data for you. But I test, it's working so far. Grad is 1-0 so far in the UFC, and he got KO'd by Tom Nolan in his first shot on Dana White's Contender Series. He's a very aggressive leg kicker. He rolls well with hooks. That is one thing I'll say about him, but he does a lot of weird spinning shit. Like, he gets real desperate and starts throwing spinning heel kicks, and he's got this big leap in left hook. If he lands it, that thing is money, but I think he's going to walk face first into a punch once he gets to a certain level. Someone's going to make him pay for that. He does feint his level changes quite a bit, but he carries his hands low and he just spams offense. Like, this guy doesn't have a whole lot of defensive capabilities. Lucas Alexander was a guy that I had his durability as a big question mark, and Bogdan Grad got it done over Lucas Alexander. I said that Alexander was the far more technical fighter. Grad was the more fighter, right? Like, he's going to be the one who's more vicious. He'll be willing to trade. If Alexander's durability held up, I picked him, running away by a mile, but he's fragile. Now, Grad is not going to get a man who is fragile across the cage from him this week. Mohammed Naimov, 12-3, 30 years old. He's very short. He's very tanky. He's thick. He's powerful. He's hairy. He's like a tiny little Roman Dolidze without the BJJ. And this guy doesn't know how to take a step backwards. I love that he just wants to walk forward and punch people and trade heavies. He's looking to hammer you with big, powerful shots, and he wants to just break you over the course of a fight. And he shells up and rolls pretty well as well. He has good timing on his level changes, and he's got a very strong blast double leg. It's very hard to hold this guy off you if he wants to muscle you to the ground. He is also very heavy on his top position. He knows how to kind of grind some clock away when he needs to. Generally, I will say, not a guy that I want to have this kind of a price tag on. Mohammed Naimov is not somebody I want to be laying big chalky numbers on. But frankly, this week, I feel like this is an extremely winnable fight against somebody who is very, very beatable and someone who he can hurt. Grad is going to stand in front of Naimov. Grad is going to give Naimov the exact fight that he is looking for. And Naimov is just the more durable and more polished guy. It's weird to say that because he's probably not more polished than most people. I think he's the better fighter here, man. Minus 230. I'm going chalk again. I'm going to say Mohammed Naimov, and I wouldn't be shocked if he finishes him. I think he'll knock Grad out.
Yeah, it's the only fight of the card I didn't tape, Clint, so I don't have too much to say on this one, but I tend to think I have a good read on this Naimov kid. I was one of the guy on Felipe Lima inside the distance, round 3 and submission round 3.
Beautiful.
5,000 plus 5,000 on the sub 3. So I cashed like 10 plus unit on that fight alone. So the reasoning was, I think this guy can slow down in round 2-3. And I don't think his BJJ defensively when he's tired is the best. And Felipe Lima, I'm really high on. And I think his BJJ was, really underrated going into it. And he has really good cardio. Felipe Lima versus Pelton Tybut, by the way. It's gonna be.
I was going to mention that.
It's like a really, really good fight. I know people are really low on Talbot right now, but it's going to be a banger.
It's going to be such a good fight.
Yeah, man, I'm excited for that one. So, yeah, looking into this one, Grad is not as good as Lima. Let me tell you that he's kind of, he's getting hit a lot. But the thing that I've noticed with him, he remind me a little bit of early DDP, not skill wise, but like DDP was like, you can look into his tape and be like, he does that wrong. He's not that good. He looks this, he look that, but the guy's winning. He's winning, and he make it work. And I don't want to make the mistake that I did with DDP earlier in his career, that I was like, I fade him a couple times, and then for the Whittaker fight, I didn't fade him. I bet the under, and after that, I started bet on the guy because I was like, all right, that's his style, and he's an underdog because of it. But like he make it work. So I think Grad could be one of these fighters. So I want to be really careful about that because he's really shredded. He has a ton of heart and he has power. So these type of things go a long way in MMA, right? So, and Naimov, like I said, he's the type of guy that in round 3 could slow down a little bit. Against Nathaniel Wood in round 3, he was kind of, he was almost dead. He cheated his ass off in that fight, by the way.
Yes, he did.
It was crazy. But yeah, I do think he's a better fighter here, no doubt. Like, he has probably more ways to win. But I think Grad could maybe be a live dog, but I don't think he's going to get this one. I think Naimov probably win. But again, I'm going to have to look into this one a little bit more. But as of now, I'm going to pick Naimov to get it done.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough. And yeah, I'm glad you brought up the fight that he lost, that last one, because first and foremost, the kid that he lost to is an absolute stud. If you guys missed the boat on Felipe Lima, you need to educate yourselves because this kid is something special. And I love that fight with Peyton Talbot. It's a little scary with those two prospects going head to head so early in their careers. I'm super high on Peyton Talbot. I know he just got his, his fraud check, but I don't think he's dead in the water by any means. I definitely think he's still got a lot left in the tank. So we'll see who's the real prospect when those two face off. But man, that sub was so weird to me because it didn't look to me like Naimov was all that tired. Now, don't get me wrong. It's round 3 of a banger type of fight, but I thought he was pretty easily up 2 rounds. The judges' scorecards were weird. I actually made a note of this because the judges' scorecards were super weird on that fight. They had it even across the board. One judge had it 2-0 Naimov. One judge had it 1-1. The other judge had it 2-0 Lima. And in my opinion, you can't give round 1 to Lima. Like, watching that fight back, I'm like, Naimov absolutely won the first round of that fight. So I could kind of tip my cap and be like, okay, I can see a 1-1 fight, but I scored it 2-0 to Naimov myself. And I think that round 1 was the most dominant Naimov round of the 2 rounds that we saw. And 2 of the judges gave round 1 to Lima. So in my opinion, like, those scorecards all over the place, I felt like they were very, very wrong. And then Naimov just made a weird mistake. Like, I know he got his back taken, and I think it speaks more to how slick Lima is and less on Naimov, because Naimov made one move and Lima was already under his neck. It wasn't like he was so tired he was looking for a way out. Like, it was 1 minute into the 3rd round, and I think he just made a mistake. Not trying to make excuses for the guy or anything like that, but I'm more trying to say how good freaking Lima is, I think. Anyway, I digress. I think it's going to be Naimov. I think it'll be Naimov by knockout. I don't think Bogdan Grad will be able to go deep into, round 3 and do that kind of thing to him, because they're going to be trading hammers. I could see Grad catching him and just being the one that wins, like you said, kind of like DDP style, right? I could see that, absolutely. But I don't think he's savvy and flashy enough to catch something like that on Naimov. So we'll see. We'll see. All right, moving along. We've got Nazim Sadykhov in the next fight here, taking on Nikolas Motta. Sadykhov is 10-1-1. Nikolas Motta is 15-5. Sadykhov, 31 years old. He is 3-0-1 in his last 4 fights. He trains out of Serra-Longo, and I've said it every time I broke it down, man. This guy is just a more durable version of Matt Frevola. Like, they fight almost identical, in my opinion. He just has a chin, whereas Matt doesn't. He's very quick. He's got good straight punches. He cuts off the cage well. He's another pressure fighter. He's another guy that wants to stay on the front foot, get right in your face, and make you work. He keeps a high guard up. He covers and rolls well. He fires back with big power shots. He's got an absolute piston of a left hand. He does a good job of going first when exchanges start to get tough. So, like, when the fight starts to really get into the thick of it, he's willing to pull that trigger before a lot of his opponents do. And he's got good recoverability, too. You go back to the Elder fight when he got sat down in the first round. He recovered quickly, got it together, shook his head, got the cobwebs out of there, and just kept pressing forward. He went to war with Slaviclaus, man. I know that kind of ages a little bit poorly. Like if you're going life and death and you've got to draw with Slava, like that's kind of a bad story. But when you run that fight back, it's like he got caught a couple times. And if you give Slava that opportunity, he's got power. He's a very slick striker. And it took people a long time to figure out that you should be grappling this man. And that's where he was just too willing to trade with Slava on the feet. He gave him the opportunity. So it ended up being way closer than it should have been. But he can wrestle when he needs to. He sometimes makes the low IQ decision to just headhunt. He will have a 1-inch reach advantage here in this spot. Nikolas Motta is 32 years old. He's training at Extreme Couture, 3-2-1 in his last 6. He's currently on a 2-fight win streak, which just absolutely shocked me, man. He deaded Tom Nolan with just a one-punch walk-off style KO. I warned people a little bit about Tom. His chinny situation is something I think could be a problem for him. Seems to have patched that up a little bit in his last fight, but we'll see if it rears its ugly head in the near future. The one that got me, though, was Mahashat. Like, I never saw this kid go in 15 minutes with Mahashat. I figured if it was going to be a 15-minute striking matchup, eventually the big dude was going to land something and either swing the judges or knock him out and hurt him or something like that. But Motta stayed very calm, stayed very collected, more so than we've ever seen in that fight, and worked his way to a 15-minute decision. It was frankly pretty impressive. He's very fast. All of his punches are big and looping. He's extremely explosive and compact, and that leaves him open for big counters. That's the thing. Like when he bites down and swings everything he's got looking for that kill shot, it leaves him vulnerable to be hit, and he's not the most durable guy either. He's got 4 losses by KO. All 5 of his losses have come by way of finish. He's got 1 loss by sub. Man, this is going to be a really, really good fight. It should be a banger. And you know what? I messed up. I apologize. Sadykhov is going to have a 1-inch height advantage. Motta will have a 1-inch reach advantage. So even though he's the shorter guy, those long, lanky ass arms, they'll make up that difference for him. So going to be an intriguing fight here where both these guys could land a kill shot at any point in time. Again, I will side with the durability. Nazim is minus 470 though, man. I mean, I'm a Motta hater. I'm a Motta non-believer. I want to fade this guy wherever I can. I don't like minus 470. Talk to me about this fight, man. What do you make of it?
Yeah, Nazim is another guy that I've tried to fade the clean, and I've not been successful because there are reasons to do so, right? He was down 2-0 against Elder, got the comeback win, and then against McKinney, he was kind of losing, and then McKinney in round 2, he never win. And the draw against Slava, he was getting pieced up, and he was getting like beat up for some portion of that fight, and then he landed a knockdown. He got a 10-8. It is what it is. But in the Bonfim fight, again, he was getting beat up, bro. He was getting counter. He was getting like land on everything that is Bonfim wanted, and then you get that slick head kick from the close range, like that question mark head kick, which was really good. And it was kind of a weird situation, but Bonfim couldn't really continue after that. Like the round ended, and he said that he couldn't really continue. So I think Nazim has 2 things really, really elite for the division: is elite durability and big power, right? He has that dog in him. Underrated grappling, I feel like. And his striking, the way I'm going to describe it is he's really cocky, right? He doesn't have good striking defense, but he's happy with, taking 2 to land 1, right? But the reason I don't like to bet on him, every time I fed him, he was the favorite almost. No, it does last fight. I actually land minus 140 on Bonfim. It was kind of a bad bet at the same time, but again, he was getting beat up, and then he find the kill shot. I just think looking into this one, he needs to be careful because Motta, he's not the most durable guy, but what he has in his hands is big power. And if Nazim is not careful, he could get knocked out. But outside of that, I struggle to see him losing. He's gonna lend more volume. He could grapple if he wants. He's the better grappler. But on the feet, I just think he's more durable and he can match Motta power. And I think he's going to just pressure him. And if the fight extends around 2-3, I trust him more. But the under 1.5 is plus 110. I think it covers a lot of finishing upside on both guys. Motta, he has a lot of round 1 knockout, 8 of them. And he's been KO'd 3 times in round 1. And the time he got KO'd in round 2 was also under 1.5. And if you go when he got submitted, it was also under 1.5. So every time a fight end inside the distance for Motta was under 1.5. And for Nazim, he has a couple KO1 sub 2, but like he has 3 round 3 KO. So that's kind of the worry, if I could say. But yeah, he could definitely finish Motta in round 1 or round 2. And if he loses, it's probably because he get caught early. So yeah, the under 1.5 plus 110 makes sense. Nazim by knockout also kind of a good price. It's plus 130 right now. I assume it's probably going to be better on commercial. So yeah, I think the some violence with a knockout could be a good way to play this one. I don't really think Nazim's going to grapple too much, and I don't think he's going to submit Motta, but he could if he won. But I just think he's going to try to showcase his striking here, trust his chin, and maybe get caught in the process. But if he doesn't, he should be the one getting his end raised. Like I said, he's just way more durable. I think his chin is really, really good, but he get hit too much to pay minus 450 or whatever it is right now.
Completely agree, man. And we're not that far removed, though, from my guy Trey Ogden making Motta look silly on the mat. So we can't count out the fact that Nazim absolutely could go out there and just wrestle his ass off here, because I got robbed that night, man. That fight being turned into a no contest is criminal. I had a massive play on Trey Ogden that night, and I believe I actually had him inside the distance as well in that round 3 spot where they called it. I thought I hit everything, and then it ends up I catch none of it because they called it too early, even though Nikolas Motta was fighting for his life. So yeah, man, Nazim advantage absolutely almost everywhere. All right, guys, next up we have one of my most disappointing prospects of the most recent year, Myktybek Orolbai, a man who has extremely high on, and he's taking on Tofiq Musayev. And if you guys believe you've heard that name before, you probably have, and you just don't realize it. Tofiq has been around the block. This man is 35 years old, and he's got a long history of fighting in both Rizvan and Bellator. So he's been fighting some serious names for a very, very long time. He's got a win back in 2019 over Patricky Pitbull, of all people. I mean, so you probably have seen a couple highlights of heard of Tofiq if you've been in the MMA space for any given amount of time. So let me do what I can to tell you a little bit about him. He's a big finisher. 18 wins by KO. He really likes his right hand. That is his main source of offense, and he's got really fast hooks. This guy, I mentioned the Pitbull fight. It was pretty funny. So since it's in Rizvan, it was in a ring rather than being in a cage, and pretty hilarious. He got Patricky Pitbull in like a weird, awkward takedown situation, and because it's a ring and not a cage, they bounce off of the ropes and they fall halfway through, and they end up in really weird positions because of it. He gets in like a wheelbarrow style position, and no joke, Tofiq picks his legs up by the thighs and wheelbarrows his ass to the side of the ring and just shoves him out. The craziest thing about it is I actually think that affected the fight, because Pitbull was lighting this man up in the first round. He rocked him. He hurt him bad. He put him on his ass. And then he was just consolidating top time and eating minutes away of that fight after rocking him. But then when Tofiq shoved him out of the cage, you could see him messing with his right arm. You could see him really working his right shoulder a bunch, and he was never the same that fight. So I really feel like Patricky got hurt in that fight and never fully was back in it. So Tofiq ends up punching his way back in, wins the fight. Big win for him. It is what it is, but that really swung the momentum that night. Tofiq is quick. He's got strong hips. He's got a solid sprawl. He has been submitted before. He got stuck in a triangle over in Rizvan, a triangle choke, but the guy kind of climbed him like a tree and then almost pulled guard to go to his back. So not sure you're going to, wrestle this guy to the ground. I think he'll be able to explode out of situations like that, but still questionable that you're getting hit with triangle chokes like that. It happens, but not very often these days. His only KO loss was really weird. His opponent hit him with a front kick to the chest, and it slid down his body and ended up hitting his belt line. So it was a low blow, but because he kicked him in the chest, it wasn't actually a foul. So he wasn't able to continue, and it was called a TKO loss because he wasn't able to actually come out, even though he was worried more about his balls than the actual kick that hit him in the chest. So just weird stuff with Tofiq. I want to go ahead and make it clear the UFC might have just signed a new Cody Brundage. Myktybek Orolbai, 13-2-1, 27 years old. I was unbelievably high on this kid. Now, I still am. He's 27 years old. I know he doesn't look like he looks like he's a first-generation upright caveman. He looks like he's 37 years old. He's 27. if the papers are to be believed. I really think this kid has a very bright future. He was fighting up at 170 pounds. Now he's cut down to 185, and it looks like his power really is translated. He's a bully style grappler, man. He's got relentless pace and pressure, but he's got really quick hands, and he's got natural God-given power. So once you start worrying about one or the other, he hits you with the opposite. He'll hit you with takedowns, and then once you're thinking takedown, he'll go high and knock you out. Like, this guy's very well-rounded. I love his IQ. The only knock I have on him is in his last fight against Mateusz Rebecki. I think he looked past Mateusz Rebecki. And again, not trying to make excuses for him or anything like that, but in that fight, I felt like he was going to whoop Rebecki's ass. He started off a little slow. He let Rebecki get going early in that fight and really got lumped up early because of it. Rebecki hit some big shots, big left hooks, and his eyes swole up like immediately. It was a situation where I feel like if he had come out and respected Rebecki and really got his grappling going early, or just didn't give him time to hit his groove, that fight probably ends differently. He ended up punching his way back into it. As the fight got extended, he ended up working his way back into it. It ended up being a split decision. I thought I had an outside shot at still winning it, but I agree with the decision. It went to Rebecki, and I think that was the right side to go ahead and get the win. But as a gambler, I was praying, right? Like, I needed Uncle Sal to just throw me a bone for one time. So yeah, man, I'm really high on Orolbai, but I feel like Tofiq could cause him some serious problems. The sprawl he has could keep this fight upright. Those hooks he has could do similar damage to what Rebecki did. This is a very, very sketchy fight, in my opinion. Not to gear. Geez, I'm looking at the wrong line here. Sorry about that, guys. We have got Myktybek Orolbai, who is currently, and for some reason I can't find it.
He's plus 150 on Bet Online.
Okay.
No, I mean Tofiq is plus 150 and Orolbai is minus 175.
Thank you. All right. So minus 175, and Tofiq is the ever so slight underdog here. Man, I was ready to come on here and tell you guys, pack your bags. We are going all in on my boy Orolbai. We got the that UFC jitter loss out of the way. Underestimated him. He's going to come back tougher, stronger. I don't like this fight. He's almost 10 years younger, and that's usually an angle you want to bet on. He's got the wrestling edge, theoretically, and that's something you want to bet on. But man, I do not want to get in front of Tofiq. So I'm going to say pass. If it gets to pick him, maybe I'd bet Orolbai. But I don't think it's going that direction. Dravi, what do you got here, man?
Yeah, the line's actually going up and down, Clint. He got down to like minus 150 Orolbai, and some people bet him. So now he's back up to minus 170, minus 175. I actually post Musayev for my my free. Yeah, I just saw that one. It's a banger, bro. I'm excited.
We're just talking Rebecki. Yeah, Marcella. Sorry to interrupt, man. Marcel announced Chris Duncan and Mateusz Rebecki. That is a banger of a fight.
It's a really good one. Talking about Rebecki and that Orolbai,
yeah.
I was on Rebecki plus 280 in that fight. So
good call,
I'm happy I got that decision, because I would have been pissed if he lost. That was a banger, bro.
Were you sweating it though when it came down at the end? Were you sweating it?
I was.
Because I had the chalk side, and I'm sitting there going, "Oh God,
bro!" It was like one of the best fights last year. It was like a really, really good one. It was super exciting. So yeah, this guy Orolbai he's so fun to watch. He's good. He has good cardio, good pace, really durable. But I mean, the thing with him is he doesn't move his head. Like, he has no head movement, and he's willing to get hit because he trusts his chin. Granted, he has a really good chin, but still, when you doesn't move your head and you get hit like that, like you said, he never go all in on the grappling. Like, his striking is actually good. It's just that he has no defense. That's the problem. But he has power himself. But he never goes like all in on the grappling. He mix it up, which is what you should do. But here in this fight, if he doesn't grapple early, yeah, I think he might be in deep problems, bro. So I posted Musayev as my free bet of the week, plus 145. I think it should be a pick and fight. I think it's a really competitive fight. And the way I look into this one is, I think that Musayev is going to win round one. I also believe that he's live to knock him out in round one. I know Orolbai is super durable, but first of all, he's coming back after a war that he took a lot of damage in. Mm-hmm. And also, he never fought a guy that hit hard like Musayev does. I truly believe that. This guy really hit like a truck. And this guy that submit him, Roberto de Souza, is a really, really good grappler, by the way. So I don't put too much shame into that. And he definitely take down pretty well, like you said. He was like he seems really strong, and I think he has really good hips. So he was defending the takedowns, doing all the right stuff, but that guy pulled guard into him. So that was some savvy BJJ stuff. I don't think his BJJ is the best, but I think his wrestling defense and his spraw and his hips are good. But there's not a lot of tapes on his takedown defense. That's my worry. I've wrote down in my notes. There's like he got taken down in round 2 against that better Gariev guys, and then he showed good reaction when he got taken down when Piraev. Yeah, Piraev, he got a knockout in round 1 against him, but like that guy he did attempt a takedown against him, and he showed really good reaction to the takedown to defend it. And Johnny Case, that's another guy that he got taken down by, but he was going to a flying knee clean, and then he got caught with the takedowns, but he got right back up and he knocked the guy out right after. So yeah, that happened. And then the Patricio Pitbull fight you talk about, you can see a bit of grappling in that one. I think he looked all right. And the D'Souza fight that you mentioned, like I said, he defended the takedown early on. So there's not a lot of tapes because most of his fights are against striker. But yeah, the guy, like you said, has a massive power, 18 KOs. So yeah, and it's not like if he doesn't get a knockout in round 1, he's gonna gas. Like I think his cardio is all right. He slowed down a little bit in round 3, but he still carries power late. And like I said, Orolbai doesn't move his head and get hit a lot. So, and Musayev has really good counters and also really good footwork, and it's in the big cage, which favor him. Mm-hmm. So yeah, he's just super fast in and out, and I think that could cause a lot of problems to Orolbai. But I think as the fight goes on, and if Orolbai can get his grappling going in round 2 and 3, he could take over, he could win, right? But when I have the guy at plus money that I think I have round 1 KO upside, I think it's going to win the first round, and then I think it's going to be a close fight after that. I think Orolbai is probably going to cook in round 3, honestly, because I think this Tofiq guy slowed down in round 3, and I'm also a little bit worried about the fact that he has not fought in over a year and a half. He's 35 years old, which I don't like when you make your debut, but he's also a hometown fighter, Clint. He's fighting at home here. One of the biggest name on the card, hometown fighter. So yeah, I just think that whole Orolbai is going to have to come back in the fight after a tough start, but he might die in round 1 and might not have the chance to come back. So at plus money, give me that. I'm going to pick Musayev for the upset.
I hear you. Okay, man. That makes so much sense to me. And frankly, the matchmaking is really weird to me, right? Because Tofiq seems to be the guy they signed for this fight. Like you said, he's going to be the hometown guy. He's going to be the big star here. He's going to be the one everyone's excited to see. You know, got the Rizvan belt wrapped around his waist a couple times. Like, that's the kind of guy that you sign for this opportunity. But Orolbai is a stud, somebody who is young with a lot of upside, a potential future star, someone that you'd think they'd want to build. Just really weird matchmaking. You know, coming off a loss, why would you make that guy fight Tofiq? I do not know what these UFC matchmakers are doing right now. I just frankly don't get it. But it's a tough fight. It's a good fight. I can't wait to watch this one. I think Myktybek Orolbai live bet is like a really good way to look at it. If you're wanting to be on that side rather than laying the chalk pre-flop, make sure he survives round 1, make sure he can get his grappling going, and then jump in, hopefully at a better number live when you have that opportunity. Because I'm with you. I do think Tofiq could probably nuke him early based on what we saw in the Rebecca fight. I think Orolbai's tough enough to deal with it, but you know, you just never know. Tofiq's got serious power. All right. And real quick, guys, chat, chill out. Groundskeeper, chill out. Like you guys know I love you all, but like this is getting a little out of hand tonight. We're here to talk fights. If you got fun, interesting stats and stuff to throw in there, but we have the nicest, most respectful chat in the game. We're trying to change the landscape of the MMA world here. People come here for a good time, so let's chill out. I don't want to have to ban or block anybody because you guys, I like you all on a personal level, so let's not fight with each other, okay? No racism, no sexism, no hate speech. Chill the fuck out, both of you. I'm being a parent here, right? Don't make me turn this podcast around. All right. Next fight on the board, you guys. We have got heavyweight action here. Curtis Razor Blaydes returns and he takes on Rizvan Kuniev. And another weird one, man. Another really weird one. So Curtis Blaydes, I always said that if it wasn't for Francis Ngannou, Curtis Blaydes would be your heavyweight champion. And then we found out there's guys like Tom Aspinall. And then we found out that Sergey Pavlovich is a monster. Like he can't handle power punchers. That's what it comes down to. This guy has durability issues for heavyweight. Now, I can't even really say it's durability issues because these are quite literally the biggest pound for pound punchers on planet Earth. So it's not that he can't take a punch. It's because he's fighting Tom Aspinall, Sergey, and Ngannou twice. So cut the guy a break. He is a massive grappler. I mean, not many big men can grapple the way that he does. He's a very, very powerful wrestler. He struggles for some reason when people get grappling on him. I guess it's like that whole you just don't drill people taking you down very often when you're that big of an offensive threat. So he got kind of ran around the cage by Jailton Almeida, but he's got good enough cardio and good enough sense of himself that he shucked the takedown. He got his hips engaged, and then he hit Jailton Almeida with a massive uppercut, got him out of there at the start of round 2. I mean, phenomenal performance that has aged very, very well, as Jailton looks like a guy who's going to get a title shot pretty soon here. So Curtis Blaydes has some hands. He's got some decent power in those hands. He makes some questionable choices sometimes. Like in fight, it just every once in a while he does not make the optimal choice, and it leads to problems. You know, shooting from a mile away when you know the shot is coming, leading to the Derek Lewis uppercut. Like, you know, you could have maybe not done that. Like, you know, there's just sometimes some stuff that he does that you're like, damn, Curtis. Like, I really feel like he's right there. He's so close, but he's absolutely a top 5 guy. 34 years old, so he's still got some time here at heavyweight. These guys can definitely carry their skills and their powers a little bit later than most other weight classes, and he will enjoy a 4-inch reach advantage. This is where it gets weird. Rizvan Kuniev, 13-2-1. He's 32 years old, so he's slightly younger. He is a 2 times Dana White's Contender Series competitor. I just want to go ahead and throw that out there again. I already explained the angle to you guys, but he's making his UFC debut off Contender Series, and they're throwing him straight into the deep end. This is absolutely a sink or swim kind of fight, and it's weird, man, because he got signed by the PFL. Off Dana White's Contender Series, PFL signed this kid. And they threw him in there against Renan Ferreira. Renan Ferreira, the guy that they absolutely blew up to be the monster that could go toe-to-toe with Francis Ngannou, the biggest man in MMA. Like, that's the guy. They were like, hey, we want you to fight him. And Kuniev beat him. Like, with this grinding, grimy, drag you against the fence and drag you to the floor. Like, he just laid on him and he blanketed him. It was crazy, man. Big, big upset. Everybody was expecting Renan Ferreira to just nuke the guy in one shot. And it did not go that way at all. But it's really weird because he tested positive for 4 different anabolic steroids.
All the steroids, Clint.
4. Dude, he's got every single. This guy might as well be Ivan Drago. Like, you know, Russian propaganda being fed to you guys here yet again. They've got him on everything. And the UFC went, come on over, my boy. We got a spot on the roster for you. Like, he pops egregiously. And they're like, yeah, we'll take that guy. So, really confusing here to me, man. He's training over at ATT. He's a surprisingly good kicker. Like, for a guy who's as big and as thick and jolly as he is, he's got hard chopping leg kicks. He'll randomly throw spinning heel kicks, which is really weird. But more often than not, he's a grinder. He wants to get up on you, wants to grate you up against the fence. He wants to use those underhooks and pin you against the cage. He's a cheater, too. He's one of these guys that will cheat his ass off. He'll be grabbing the fence if you try to reverse out of a position or something like that. Look for that the point deduction prop, because we finally saw some people getting called by the refs recently. Maybe we can hit one of those at 20-1 here with one of these big boys that wants to grab the fence. Ferreira's a freaking idiot. You go back and watch his fight with Renan Ferreira. Renan got top position, like bucked and reversed and put this guy on his back, just full power, man, big man strength type of move. And then he went for an armbar. Like the kind of shit that you're like, what are you doing? Like, you're a meat mountain of a man. Stay on top of him, pound him through the canvas, make him stand up, for God's sake, anything. But he goes for an armbar. Like, what are you doing? You're putting him right back on top of you. So one of those weird things where if I didn't know any better, I'd say Ferreira threw the fight or something like that. But you're getting grappler versus grappler here. And frankly, if you're going grappler versus grappler in the UFC, I'm always taking Curtis Blaydes. This guy does have pop in his hands. He's got 6 wins by KO, but I am not impressed with his competition level. And I know Curtis Razor Blaydes has some chin concerns, but only against the most brutal, vicious power punchers in the game. This guy's a grappler. He's got TKOs in round 3. He's got guillotine chokes in round 1. He is not a one-hitter quitter type of fighter. So if he lands just right, don't get me wrong, he can do some damage on Curtis Blaydes. But if he doesn't land that perfect shot, I think Curtis is going to make this guy look silly in the grappling. I made the mistake of going balls deep with Patchy Mix when he made his UFC debut, and I can't remember who it was. I would love to give them credit. Somebody said the UFC loves to make other organizations look bad. They love to bring people in and have them lose their first fight, and then they'll build them up because now you're a UFC guy. It might have been Narco. It might have been Narco that said that. And looking back on it, it's like that kind of rings true a little bit. So the fact that this guy was off the PFL, literally beat the PFL's champion, the guy they thought would stand up to Francis Ngannou, and they said, "Hey, you want to go on Contender Series?" Like that. That's the kind of shit they're pulling here. And now they're giving him Curtis Blaydes. Like, I'm not sure they like Kuniev. So it's a weird fight. It's a weird matchup. Yes, he's dangerous. I don't want to disrespect his skill set, but I like Curtis Blaydes. Curtis is minus 285. Rizvan Kuniev is plus 230. I think there's an argument to be made for Rizvan, but man, yeah, I think I'm still on team Curtis Blaydes. I'm not ready to let it go just yet.
Yeah, it's kind of a tricky fight in a way. The last time Blaydes got a takedown was in 2021, which is kind of crazy because he's more of a wrestler, but he kind of fall in love with his ends, and it did cost him a lot of times because his chin is not really good. Like you said, he's got KO'd a lot of times, and Kuniev has never been finished, so that's something to take note of. And he's also a former cheater, so he might be cheating again. We don't really know, but when you have a guy that's never been finished against a guy in Blaydes that has been KO'd a lot of times, it's just hard to trust him at chalk, especially when maybe you can't count on the wrestling because he has not shown me the desire to do a lot of takedowns. He did in 2020, 2021. There's the last time he did so, but after that, he's striking. His striking is all right. He has some power himself, but Kuniev seems durable. I think Kuniev could potentially win the clinch here. And I think his striking is pretty good. So I see this one being a little bit closer than the line indicate, but I'm not sure I'm ready to take the dog shot. Gonna see where the line goes. But yeah, it is a dog or pass for me on that one. I'm gonna pick Blaydes. I think he should get it done. Way more experience, fought the way better people. But I have a feeling it could be closer than what people think. Especially in the clinch. Like I think Kuniev in the clinch is actually good. And Blaydes, like you said, has been in control. And taking down before. So defensively, he's not the best. And his chin also we can count on. So I feel like Kuniev here could be a sneaky spot, but it's just hard, man, to beat Curtis Blaydes, like a proven top 5 heavyweight, and UFC debut. Good luck, good luck, bro.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I think
jumping straight in.
Yeah, he should win, but he's hard to trust at this price.
Absolutely. Could not agree with you more, man. Could not agree with you more. All right, guys, we are getting down to the end of this bad boy. Thank you all very much for being here. We've got 600 of you live watching across all platforms. And Jose, thank you very much for reposting the stream on X. Very much appreciate you doing that, my friend. Means a ton. And B. Simone, you know what is up, my friend. Thank you for being here as well. You guys, make sure you're smashing that like button, and please follow our guy Dravi. He's been given some absolute nuggets this evening. Make sure you give him a follow. Very sharp guy, having a wonderful year. Support him and his content as well. And let's keep this bad boy rolling. Next up, you have got Rafael Fiziev taking on Ignacio Bahamondes. And man, I'm not even going to lie. Bahamondes is one of my favorite prospects. I absolutely love this kid. I've been really excited about his evolution and the way he's kind of turned his career around. He's at Valley Flow Striking. He's training with Bilal. He's 27 years old, 11 wins by KO. That submission game is right behind it. He's getting that worked up as well. We're seeing him put those long-ass lanky arms to use. Biggest win of his career in his last fight over Jalen Turner. That one killed me because I had to bet on Ignacio, and I'm a Jalen Turner guy. So I've gone to war with Jalen Turner, and I had to sacrifice him to the altar of Ignacio Bahamondes last time out. So good to get the win. Painful from a fan perspective, though. Bahamondes is on a 3-fight win streak right now. It is a little bit terrifying to me, though, that his last loss was Myktybek Klein, because Klein very recently kind of got his fraud check again. I mean, like, Klein seems to be one of these middle of the road kind of guys, right? Every time he gets that step up in competition, he just can't quite cut it. He's losing to guys like Nate Landwehr and then going to draw with Jai Herbert, which is awful. And he got a shot against Mateusz Gamrot, and I was foolish enough to bet on him that night. That was one of the worst bets I've ever made in my life. So that's concerning. That it's like, man, if we think Ignacio Bahamondes is on like a contender level trajectory here, you don't want to be losing to that guy. Now, granted, he's young, he's improving, so I don't want to knock on him too much. But eye-opening, right? He's rattled off 3 straight first-round finishes, which you love to see, and they're giving him a guy who is not going to pose a problem in the grappling. Ignacio Bahamondes will have a 7-inch height advantage and a 4-inch reach advantage here over Fiziev. Fiziev is 32 years old, which is kind of surprising. I really feel like he's a little bit older than that. He looks a little older than that at least, but he's got that wear and tear on him with all this combat going on. Tiger Muay Thai striking coach, 3-fight losing streak. Another guy who really seemed like he was destined for the contender circle and just never quite got there. Justin Gaethje sat this guy down not once but twice. Even after a long layoff, he came back and lost again to Justin Gaethje. It was on short notice. I don't want to knock him too hard for that. But he also got absolutely outed by Mateusz Gamrot. There was a knee injury on that one, or a leg injury. So again, not really super his fault. This guy is game. He's in every single fight. He wants to absolutely bang with you. He's got that Matrix level defense. He can get out of the way of stuff that you don't even know is coming. Very, very impressive. And he's got some stiff shots on him. Rafael dos Anjos is not a man who's easy to put away. In a 25-minute fight, this guy TKO'd Rafael dos Anjos in the 5th. So I do not want to downplay just how good Rafael Fiziev is, even though his record looks awful right now. This one breaks my heart, man, because I feel like this is a storm of recency bias. Ignacio Bahamondes is minus 120. You've got even money on Rafael Fiziev. I can't turn my back on Bahamondes, like in good faith. He's one of my guys. I'm riding the wave with him. I'm cashing tickets his last couple of fights. So I want to be on the Ignacio Bahamondes side. My heart and the recency bias of winning money on him, that's all kind of weighing in here on me. But I think people are forgetting just how damn good Rafael Fiziev is. This is going to be something where Ignacio Bahamondes has to kind of face his demons a little bit. When he made his UFC debut, he fought John Makdessi. A lot of you guys probably don't remember that fight. But Makdessi, somebody who is cooked, somebody who's old, way over the hill, he crashed the pocket and he boxed up Bahamondes. It was a close fight. I thought you could argue Bahamondes won it, but the split decision went the other way. Fiziev is a levels better striker than John Makdessi, but it's a very similar style and something we've seen Bahamondes struggle with in the past. He gets a little loopy sometimes with like the spinning heel kicks, and we have seen him get put on his back before. I mean, even like the Jalen Turner fight, Jalen made him uncomfortable. And when it went to the ground, he did go ahead and throw up that submission. Jalen immediately retired afterward. Like, let's not forget the context. Like his heart was not in it that night. I've got a feeling Rafael Fiziev is going to come out and try and prove a point this weekend. I don't think he's ready to hang it up. I don't think this guy is ready to just go away and fade off into the sunset. So I think there's a very real chance that in hindsight, this line could look very, very wrong, man. I can't bet Ignacio Bahamondes. I'm rooting for Ignacio Bahamondes. I want the kid to win. But I'm kind of afraid Rafael Fiziev might go out there and box him up. Talk to me, man. Talk some sense into me for this fight. Am I jumping at shadows here, or what are you seeing?
Yeah, I don't think you should be. How can I say that? I don't think you should turn your back on your boy Bahamondes when he's entering his prime right now, and he's only like 27 years old, and he's getting his big opportunity right now. To your point about the Makdessi fight, it was not a good look, right? But let's not forget, it was his UFC debut. He missed weight for that fight, and it was in 2021. The improvements he's made since that fight is kind of insane. Like, he's so much better. So I don't want to, use that fight against him too much. And against Klein, he got hurt early, and then Klein used his wrestling to win that fight as well. But because he got hurt early, he kind of struggled in that one. But I think Fiziev, I don't think he's bad. I think he's pretty good, but I'm not sure about he's being underrated. I just feel like the market is always overhyped Fiziev in a way. If you look into their stat, as a UFC favorite, he's 5-4. So he's a guy that was always favorite and, almost losing more time that he's winning, which is concerning. And if you look at it, he's always been known to like being this power guy, this elite striker, and all of that. But you look into his UFC career, right? So he has 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He has 10 UFC fights. How many knockdowns do you think he has in his UFC run across 10 fights?
Ooh, how many knockdowns? 3.
You're close. It's 2, right? So only 2 knockdown for Fiziev. I just think he's, in my head, he's always been like this, really good striker, big power, but I think his power is a bit overrated in his career. And let's not forget, he's also small for the division. I don't know if you remember, Clint, but after his last fight against Gaethje, he went on Ariel Awani's show and he was saying that he's gonna move down. He's gonna move down to featherweight. Do you remember that?
No, I don't remember that. Did he talk about that?
Yeah. He said that he could move down.
I totally missed that.
He said that he could probably make the weight and probably do better in that weight class and all of that. And when fighters start to talk about these shit, it make me like think that they're thinking about maybe the next step. They need to change something. And now he's, accepting another fight at 155 against a guy that, has all the momentum going into it, back to back finish losses and finish win in the first round. And we have Fiziev coming back after, he's on a 3-fight losing streak and he's 32 years old, like you said. But Bahamondes is 27. He's entering his prime. He's improving fight to fight. And, he's 6'3" with a 75 inches of reach compared to Fiziev, who's 5'8" with 71 of reach. So I just think at distance, when they're going to strike, Bahamondes is just going to land way more volume. When you look into their striking metrics, Bahamondes land way more than Fiziev does. And Fiziev get hit a lot in almost all of his fight, right? And remember, Fiziev, when he fight, his best weapons, like he's good with the head kick, with the knees to the head from the clinch. But against a 6'3" guy, it's not going to be easy to land those weapons. You know what I mean? So I just think in this matchup, he's not used to fight like a tall guy like that. And Bahamondes is normally better at distance against most of the guys he's fought. He has, more volume with the kicks. His in and out movement has looked great. He made, Manuel Torres look like a dumbass in the octagon, and Manuel Torres came back and knocked out Drew Dober after that. So I'm not ready to say this guy is a bum. He's 5-1 in the UFC with 5 finished win. So I think that win count for something. And the last win of Fiziev is RDA, a wash version of RDA. And the other thing I want to mention about Fiziev is normally in round 3, he doesn't give great looks. He's getting out volume. He's slowed down a little bit. The Bobby Green fight, the Justin Gaethje fight. So yeah, he slowed down. And he has been caught before. He got caught in round 2 against Gaethje, almost got knocked down. He almost got knocked out. He got caught by the spinning back kick against Musayev back in the days. And you have Bahamondes spinning wheel kick into your intro that before we start the podcast, Clint. So that spinning wheel kick that Bahamondes got into with versus Roberts could be live here because, smaller guy in Fiziev that's going to strike with him. It could be right there for him. So the way I look at it is I think Bahamondes is going to land more volume. I think he has better cardio. And I just think he has more weapons that he's going to be able to use at distance in the striking. And if anyone grapple, if anyone get a submission, we've seen Bahamondes go for front choke and all that stuff. And normally taller guy, long arm against smaller guy, it's easier to get them. And Fiziev is going to probably try to engage in the clinch. So I think Bahamondes is live. If anyone is, he could win by submission. I think he's more likely to finish Fiziev by KO as well. Fiziev is a guy that has been KO'd in the past against the Musayev fight that I've mentioned, but also almost got knocked out against Justin Gaethje. And Bahamondes is a guy that has, 11 KOs in his career, never been KO'd himself. So I think he's more likely to knock out Fiziev, which could sound crazy to say, but being the younger guy, the more durable fighter, I just trust him more. I trust him more in round 3. And overall, I think his career is going right there. Career trajectory is massive on his side. And Fiziev, 32, 3-fight losing streak, talking about moving down to 145. I just think that it's Bahamondes' time right now. And I just trust him more overall. There's just way too much to like on his side. And like you said, I think his size and his striking is going to, It's gonna make it hard for Fiziev to land his best weapons, which are like the head kicks, the knees in the clinch, the knees to the head, and all that he likes to do. And at distance, I think Bahamondes is gonna be able to land the kicks and everything he wants. And Fiziev never been like a volume guy. He's kind of using his combos in the pocket, but he's gonna need to crash and cut distance every time he needs to engage against Bahamondes. And Bahamondes is gonna be able to land at distance when Fiziev can't. And in the pocket, Bahamondes could be hittable. Like, he's been hittable in his career, but to his credit, he's shown a really good chin, and he's also shown improvements in his defense recently. And Fiziev get hit a lot himself, so it's like, and Bahamondes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5-0 to the knockdown in the UFC. Fiziev 2-2. So yeah, Fiziev been fighting the better people. Don't get me wrong, but I just think that the line is going where it should be. Bahamondes, based on career trajectory, age, volume, size, cardio, I think he should be a side favorite in that one. So yeah, I think that he's the side personally. And he's improving a lot fight to fight. Clint, you're been riding with him. I think we're now close to his prime. In a year or two, he might hit his peak. And his size, 6'3" at lightweight. We don't see that too often. So I'm not sure if Fiziev's gonna deal well with that, but it's probably one of my favorite fight on the card. I'm really excited for that one.
Okay. Sounds like a plan, man. I mean, you're talking nothing but sense to me here. And like I said, I've been making the argument for Ignacio Bahamondes for quite some time. He's my guy. And I don't know, man. Like, I always it seems like I can never quite pick the prospects that go all the way. So I get nervous because when they start getting close to the top, that's when they kind of sputter out. And I've been riding the train the whole time that it's like, man, I don't want to be stuck there holding the bag when they don't quite make it to that next level. So this one, there's enough sweat equity. Maybe I'll just watch and cheer for my boy. But it sounds like it's a bettable price tag. And Dravi's agreeing that it's probably the Bahamondes side at -120. All right, everybody. Main event of the evening. Please do me a favor one more time. Hit that like button again. Make sure you're supporting our guy Dravi, who given us his time this week and doing this long breakdown with us here tonight. Let's talk about it. We've got Jamahal Sweet Dreams Hill taking on Khalil Rountree, the warhorse himself. And man, this is nightmare territory for me. My struggles with Jamahal Hill have been well documented. I talked about this kid, about how good he was. I talked about how awesome he could be. I talked how I felt this guy was going to be UFC champion one day. And you know what? Like the Paul Craig setback was a thing. And then he rattled off 4 wins in a row and knocked a bunch of guys out. And then he went up and he took the belt from Glover over a 25-minute decision. It was all coming together. I finally had like my guy. I just talked about how my prospects never quite make it. He made it to the belt. He took the damn belt. And here I am thinking he's going to reign forever. And then my most hated MMA fighter of all time made his way to the UFC, and Alex Pereira just completely took the damn scene over. I lost back-to-back max bets on Pereira and Yuri in the next fight, where I thought Jamahal was going to be able to take both these guys on and put them out. He has not looked the same, man. He looked incredible against Glover. Everything clicked. He was in the best shape of his life. He looked fast. He looked athletic. He was durable. He was tough. Everything checked out. It was great. And then the mistake against Alex Pereira cost him, and we all know what mistakes against Alex Pereira mean. And then the Yuri fight, he came out looking like Usman with like double knee wraps. I was like, oh, fuck. Like as soon as he's coming out with his knees all wrapped up, I was like, oh, no. So my struggle here is seeing the ceiling of Jamahal Hill. I know how good he can be. He's so fast. He's definitely a fighter who fights with a chip on his shoulder, which I love. He's trying to go out there and prove once again that he's legitimately a great fighter in this weight class, and he's better than he's shown recently, and he wants the rematch with Pereira and Yuri. And frankly, I want to see him kind of recover that magic. I want to see him get back out there. He's kind of Twitter's favorite punching bag. A lot of people really don't like the guy, and I like when he gets out there and performs because it kind of messes everybody up. No, Jared. I only hate him because I've lost so much money betting against him. I was not a believer in Pereira, so I love the guy. I'm a fan for sure, but it sucks when every single main event I'm losing cash because I kept betting against him. So I don't hate him on a fan level for sure. But man, if Jamahal is healthy, if Jamahal is fully healthy, then I think he's a real problem, man. I really do. The problem is I bet on him in the Yuri fight thinking that he was fully healthy, and then he walked out with knee pads on. So I don't know what's going on with the guy. I don't know where he's at right now. I don't know where his headspace is. He could be one of these guys that is early shot because his body just never recovers from an injury. You know, he had a really brutal injury to his legs. That's something maybe he never comes all the way back from. And he's 34 years old. So it's not like he's a 27-year-old kid that has all the time to see specialists and doctors and his body can bounce back. Like, he might never be the same again. And that's my real concern with Jamahal Hill. Now, Khalil Rountree is kind of the exact opposite of Pereira for me. Like, I should just love this guy, right? I love a feel-good story like anybody else does. The way he turned his life around, the way he got his shit together, the way he's so fun and like he's so lovable when he gets in there in the cage. He doesn't really want to go out there and hurt people, even though he's got the skills to do exactly that. Like, he's a big teddy bear. I love the guy. He's fantastic. But I also am not sold on the fact that he belongs anywhere near the top of this weight class. I've been saying for a long time he's a guy that I've wanted to fade. He went on this run where he got knocked out by Ion Cutelaba, and he lost a freaking decision to Marcin Prachnio that I'm like, nail in the coffin, buddy. Like, that's it. That's a wrap. If you're losing to Prachnio, you shouldn't be here. He immediately rattles off 4 straight wins, which is just classic, right? But he's got a questionable split decision win over Jacoby, and he's knocking out people who are not good. Christakis, not a real heavyweight, doesn't have a chin. Modestas Bukauskas, not good, doesn't have a good chin. I mean, like, those are the kind of guys that he's beating. And then they throw him into a title shot. Let's be real. He never deserved that title shot. Like, I love Khalil. I'm so happy for him that he got his opportunity to challenge for the title. I'm glad he got his moment. But he's not a championship caliber fighter. He never has been. There was nobody else around. They had to fill a card. So they gave him his shot. They tossed him in there with Alex, and we saw exactly what happened. Now, he did perform admirably. I will say he fought better in that fight than I expected him to. I thought Pereira was going to absolutely put him on his ass in the first round. So good for him to go out there and have a good showing like that. But he took a lot of damage, man. He got beat up in that fight. He got hurt. And now he's facing a former champion in Jamahal Hill. And I think this could be the ultimate buy low spot, man. Jamahal Hill, plus 130. Oh, plus 120. Some money came in on Hill. I am so sick and tired of losing money on Jamahal Hill. But this could be like the buy low of buy lows. You know what I mean? I feel like Jamahal Hill belongs in the contender circle. I believe he belongs in the top 4, top 5 of the weight class. I think he could give the champion a real rough night on his best night, whereas I think Khalil Rountree is a level below that. I think the line is backwards. I think Jamahal should be favorite. The only concern is the health. Because if he comes out with knee pads on again, he's not going to be able to get away from that big power. And Khalil loves his Muay Thai, man. I think Jamal's going to be too quick on the outside. I think his hand speed will be a problem. But if Khalil lands, it could be night-night, right? And especially if Jamahal is compromised, it could be over in a hurry. So I lean dog or pass here from a betting perspective, but I just struggle with pulling the trigger until I know without a doubt that Hill's 100% coming into this fight.
Yeah, I feel the same way on that one. Like, Hill is clearly the side. He's going to land more volume. I think his boxing is better. His cardio is also better. I think 5 rounds favor him. But his last fight was a tough look, man. I mean, the knee pad, like you said, his footwork looked bad. He was way more hittable, and he took a lot of damage. Round 3, I've never been that high on the guy, honestly. And I think people are maybe overrating him after the Pereira fight because he was kind of winning before he was not. But honestly, I don't know if you remember, but some of these UFC events recently, I think, a month or 2 ago, pay-per-view, they show round 3 in the crowd. And his knee was still, like, kind of fucked up from that Pereira fight. So I'm not sure what's going on there. But clearly, it took him a lot of time to recover because his knee was like, he took a lot of damage from Pereira. And he's 35 now, and they were both coming back after a lot of damage. But to me, it's really the knee shit, that Hill, you know, it's just hard to trust him after that. But the price reflect that because the first time they were booked, I think he was a favorite. So yeah, in my head, I think he should be a favorite. You know, he's taller, he's longer, he's going to throw more volume, he has better cardio. There's a lot of reasons to like Hill, and I've always been a Hill guy. all the ways to the top. I've bet the guy against Pereira, bro. That's how good I think he is. But man, I think that he's also a confidence-based fighter.
Mm-hmm.
And like his confidence might be gone now. We don't really know. So I kind of want to see the weigh-in. I want to see their interviews. I want to see a little bit more. I've listened to some interviews. He looks like he said that his knee might be a little bit better now, but he said it's not 100% yet with what he said. He said like it's not like it was before, but it's better than the Erie fight. So yeah, we'll see what's going on with that.
That's bad news.
I don't know what to think, Clint, honestly, but like if he's like 80 or 90% of himself that he was like when he got the belt, I think he's winning. But if he looked like he did against Harry, which you're always as good as your last fight, that's what they said, and it was only 4 months ago, I think Rountree probably wins. So Rountree, dangerous striker, and he likes these these leg kicks, and he likes to be nasty with what he does to the legs. So it could be a little bit scary for Hill if he hit the knee or the legs at the good spot. So yeah, I'm going to pass on it as of now. The money came in. I think the line movement is sharp. Hill was like plus 140 at some point. So I think the line movement is justified. He's the side betting wise, but do I want to bet him or not? As of now, I'm going to pass on it. It just seems volatile and there's unknown. So yeah, it's just hard to trust him, man. But it's also impossible for me to lay chalk on Rountree, so.
1000% agree. And that's the big struggle here for me, man. My guy Pepe trying to will me onto this bet here. And I get it, man. And it's such a hard thing to do. People treat, gambling like the stock market, right? Buy low, sell high, that kind of thing. This is the buy low. Like it's terrifying. It feels bad. It's not comfortable, but like, that's what you got to do. And that's where I'm probably going to end up on the hillside. I don't know. I want to listen to some interviews. I want to do some Instagram stalking, do some research here. I worry about the leg kicks because if his knee is not 100%, Khalil is exactly the guy that'll go in there and attack that limb. He will go in there and start beating that leg up. And it wouldn't surprise me if it exploded again mid-fight because it's getting torn up by a guy that just loves his Muay Thai. Didn't he TKO like a Muay Thai world champion when he made his UFC debut? Gokhan Saki? Oh, no, he punched him. Sorry. I thought he got him with the leg kicks. Yeah, man, this is a tough fight for me. I want Jamahal Hill to get back on track. I want him to be able to grab the microphone and scream at everybody in the crowd and shut some people up. And like, it just also make me feel a little bit better because if he goes 0-3, like my L's already are pretty big, but they're just going to get bigger if he keeps losing. So I need Hill to save me some face. Come on, buddy, get the win here for your old Uncle Clint. Man, thank you so much, Dravi, for joining me on the show this evening. This was really fun. You know your shit. Definitely had some eye-opening comments, man. I always appreciate different views and different looks and different angles. If you've got sponsors or you mentioned you do a show, if people can find your content or support you, feel free to shout that out, man. Where can people go to get more of you?
Hey, thanks for having me, Clint. First podcast with you, and it was an honor, bro. Happy to do it again whenever you want.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so on my end, it's Beat the Line broadcast. That's where me and my two co-hosts go live every week. It's normally Tuesday. We break down every UFC cards. We're always there every week. So if you can follow us on YouTube, Beat the Line broadcast, would appreciate it. And on my end, it's Dravi_ on Twitter, where I post some bets for free. But most of my stuff is under a payroll. I work with oddshoppers.com, which is where I post all my breakdowns, all my bets. And every week I also post a full card breakdowns, and I give my betting leans on fight that I don't officially bet on. So it's cool for people that are not sure about betting a fight. They're gonna know where my head's at, even though if I'm not betting it officially. So, and yeah, on the year, like I said earlier in the show, I'm up 67 unit with a 20% ROI, all third-party track on Bet MMA. And it's not tracking opener line. It's always tracking good lines with good limits that my people can follow and bet with me. So playing the game the right way, as they say. I think it's important. A lot of people are doing it differently in this space. So yeah, just want to keep it real with you guys. And, want to shout out Clint. Also, I know you're getting some hate on Twitter, but you're always posting your bets, win or lose. And most of the people that are hating on you are never posting the bets. So if you go public and you post your bets every week, the reality is you're gonna lose and you're gonna win. That's the game. And sometimes when people are in a losing streak, we're all gonna be there one day. By the way, we are winning and a losing streak. It's easy to kick on people, but like, I mean, you're putting your bet before the event. So I've seen some people, posting bet after the event, the bet that won. So yeah, they're not gonna talk, they're not gonna talk about the bets I've lost, right? But if you go out there, you post them, you track them, it's like, yeah, I'm just legit. I'm doing the right thing and I'm doing my job. So yeah, just wanted to say that for the people, because I know you're getting some haters against this year, but you're gonna turn it around. You started this week. Let's go for a win streak.
I appreciate that, man. I really do. Because yeah, I try and be good, trying to bring some lighthearted joy and fun to the space, right? And it backfires a little bit when you're the laughing stock of the community, because I cannot hit water if I fell out of a boat right now. It has been a rough couple of years. So hopefully you're right and we have started our trend back upwards. Maybe I can pull my head out of my ass and get some stuff done right this week. Thank you all so much for being here. Dravi, thank you so much again for the kind words, my man, and thank you for the time. This really was awesome. Thank you to everybody in the chat. If it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't be doing this damn thing. We really appreciate you guys. And as always, this is your safe haven to get away from everything insane in the world. People are, there's riots, there's protests, people are being bombed right now. Like, there's all kinds of crazy shit happening. We can always come here and find some common ground and just enjoy our favorite sport. And that's what this show has always been about. So this is a safe space. We appreciate you guys. Show each other some love, show each other some kindness. The world could use a whole lot more of that right now. So let's be that. And let's make some money on Saturday. So hopefully you guys can cash some tickets. Of course, we've got the Total Takedown later this week, and we also have Clint's Hot Props coming to you, as well as the Undefeated post-weigh-in show on Friday. So make sure you get subscribed and you can come back for those shows as well. Appreciate all you guys. Get out there, kick some ass, make your moms and me proud, because I'm your daddy. Let's roll.